anything caught your attention other than some of the items we talked about in terms of a hot Denny Hamlin, some of the spoiler issues?
Well, I thought it was
practice.
I thought it was interesting that Harvick said handling could become an issue tonight. We saw guys leaning on each other in practice yesterday causing some problems, but if you get loose at all with the traffic like we have, man, you could get spun in a hurry.
Hall of Fame coach Joe Gibbs a moment ago talking to Kyle Busch, and there's Austin Dillon and his noted cowboy hat. And crew chiefs have a lot of work to do, even if they like their car or they like where they think their position is going to be in the Daytona 500.
That's the thing is right now, even though you got everything like you think you want it right now and they drop this green flag, it can change in a snap of a fingers. I mean, that's the thing. It's right place at the right time. Otherwise, you're in trouble. 24 drivers in each of the duels. Overall, it's 48 drivers trying to make up the 43 spots for Sunday's 56th running of the Daytona 500.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we ask that you please rise and remove your hats as the Daytona Beach Police Department Color Guard presents our nation standing as Reverend John Long III from the Tubman King Community Church offers tonight's invocation.
Let us pray. Gracious and loving God, we come before you this evening thankful for the entirety of life and especially for this day. We thank you for blessings too numerous to count and too obvious to deny. Extend now, we pray, divine protection over all that will take place in this place this evening, and bless the individual endeavors and the collective efforts. May safety surround this competition so that none will be hurt and no one will be harmed, and all participators and spectators alike will give you honor and glory. Finally, Lord, continue to bless all who this night defend our rights and protect our land. We ask this prayer in the matchless name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and let all who love the Lord say, amen.
Here to perform our national anthem, please welcome Palm Coast native Tiffany Thomas.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Let's hear it one more time for Tiffany Thomas and her.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. There's Greg Biffle starting up on the front row of the duel, and Jr., one of the 500 favorites, hoping to make up some ground here in just a moment. Some dreams will be realized tonight. Others could be shattered. Those expected to run Sunday in the 56th Daytona 500, the Great American Race. Jockeying for position. We're going to find out by the end of the night who's in, who's out, and who starts where. There's Austin Dillon, and what we do know is he's on the pole, just over 196 miles per hour, qualifying there. And on the front row, that single car team of Martin Truex Jr. Michael Waltrip, you're one of those guys, an owner, a driver, an analyst, all those things, and some other things you've been called. But you have a number of different ways. We opened the show talking about agendas for drivers, and let's talk about how you get in. And there are a couple of different ways, and the pressure is on if you're not somebody who has fit into these categories. We'll start with the qualifying speed, where you currently currently ranked, right?
Yeah, I don't feel good about getting one of those 4 spots with that qualifying speed. The car owner points is marginal. That might get in, but my best bet, I don't have a past champions provision.
Not your brother who has...
he's got 3 of them. Yeah. Can I borrow one?
No, you can't do that.
My best chance is just to go out there and run in the top 15. When we were here in July, I finished in the top 5 with everybody out there.
Yep.
So I think I got a good shot of doing just that. The strategy that I'm going to have is when they throw the green flag starting in 17th, I'm going to try to go to the front right then. But if it doesn't work and your moves you play out don't get you where you're going, then you might just lay back and let things develop a bit. I think handling's going to be interesting tonight, and also we're going to watch closely all the side drafting you'll see.
And you've certainly shown in your Toyota in practice some speed, right? I mean, and that you must go in with confidence with that, knowing you can get from here to there pretty quickly.
Well, and I've run well here over the years, but a fast car is what makes you do good at Daytona, Jeff. You got to have a fast car.
I agree with that, but is anybody in that second race that you're looking at you'd like to get to that may help you get to the front?
You know, everybody's a fair-weathered friend. You talk a good game in the garage area beforehand. When you get out there to go race, it's a different story. So I'm going to just be on an island and do my own thing.
And we saw in the Sprint Unlimited, Dale Earnhardt Jr. found Jamie McMurray as a buddy for a while, but then left him in the draft.
They were best friends, weren't they?
For a moment.
Yes.
So it doesn't matter teammate, manufacturer, when it comes to the Daytona 500 or the Duel. It's everyone for him or herself. Danica Patrick part of this first run. Let's head back down trackside to hear the command.
And now, for the most famous words in motorsports, please welcome your Grand Marshal, Vice President of Marketing for Budweiser, Brian Perkins.
On behalf of Budweiser, drivers, start your engines!
The accent on speed, patience, finding a drafting partner. Coming up on Fox Sports 1, 2 races tonight, 150 miles, 60 laps at Daytona International Speedway. The Duel at Daytona, presented by Budweiser. Greg Biffle starting on the front row. We're live from Daytona International Speedway on Fox Sports 1. And the 3 car, a lot to talk about the 3, and us 3 will be watching. You'll be in the second race and watching along with people at home. Let's head up to the 3 upstairs. Darrell, Larry, and Mike. Have fun tonight, you guys.
Thanks, Chris. We will. Looking forward to this great doubleheader to set the field for the 500. In Duel number 1, Darrell, to race your way in, it's not the easiest, but it's the surest way to make sure you're in the 500.
It really is, Mike, but I think the thing, I really feel kind of sorry for Austin Dillon almost. He's on the pole. He knows he's going to start this race Sunday from the pole if he doesn't wreck that car tonight. And he's got a lot of great people around him. He's got his grandfather, Richard Childers. He's got Gil Martin, his crew chief. Lots and lots of experience. What they've got to do with this kid, he wants to run all the race. But it's been so unpredictable out there. Saturday night, Mike, we have Matt Kenseth and Jimmy Johnson, 2 of the best drivers in the sport, wrecking. So he's got to take care of the car, run some laps, and that team's got to get him in his happy place so he brings that car home in one piece.
He'll be fun to watch, but I think the most fun to watch will be 3 drivers starting at the rear of this field. Danica Patrick and Tony Stewart, teammates, engine change to the rear of the field, and Joey Logano in a backup car. And Joey Logano, especially in that 22 car, he has been fast the entire speed weeks. They're going to be fun to watch.
All right, speed at the front and the back and in the middle. Drivers who have to race their way into the 500. Let's have a look at the Budweiser starting grid. For Budweiser Duel number 1, Greg Biffle, Austin Dillon. Dillon has chosen the outside of row number 1. Ryan Newman and 3-time Duel winner Dale Earnhardt Jr., row 2. Last year's Rookie of the Year, Ricky Stenhouse, with the Aussie Marcus Ambrose. Eric Almirola and Joey Logano in a backup car. Matt Kenseth and Casey Kane, both prior Duel winners. 2-time Duel winner Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick, a winner last year on Thursday. Danica Patrick and A.J. Allmendinger in a new ride. Reed Sorensen with David Gilliland, Parker Kligerman, Tony Stewart, and the rest of the field. Daryl, who you want to dial up?
I think I'll dial up Danica. Hey, Danica, it's DW in the Fox Sports 1 booth. You got a copy?
I know you will be. Just reminding you.
Crew chiefs always take priority. Danica, it's DW in the Fox Sports 1. You got a copy here, girl?
Yes, sir. Copy.
Danica, last year, I mean, you were in the catbird seat. You started the race from the pole. You had a fast car. You were comfortable. Tonight, you start from the back. Have you guys found the speed you need, and is the draft going to be the great equalizer?
I don't think we have quite the speed that we did last year. There's definitely some RCR cars and Ford are pretty fast this year, but, Hendrick works hard, and I know our Chevy will get up there, but I think once you're in the draft, it's fine. It's just that, you got to get in there. It doesn't seem great if you're the last car in line. It's real hard to keep up. It'll be a matter of kind of staying in the thick of things and being there to do something at the end.
So you're going to push it to the front? You're going to try to get up there and lead this thing?
I'm going to try to win this thing. I got to start at the back of the 500, but heck, it doesn't mean you can't go out there and win. So, my mindset after qualifying when I was frustrated about starting the back kind of switched, and it's like, you know what? The heck with it. You have to start at the back no matter what. So let's just go out there and show them what we got and be strong.
I love your spirit. Have a good race, and good luck.
All right.
Thanks, Sarah. Let's get some late-breaking stories from downstairs and our NASCAR on Fox All-Star Pit Crew. And a big welcome back to a fellow who was in this winter for some rust repair, Steve Burns.
Yeah, no longer on jack stands, Mike Joy. Great to be back. Hey, Tony Stewart continues his comeback from that badly broken leg suffered in a sprint car race last August. Unfortunately, he got caught up in a grinding wreck Saturday night. The good news is no additional damage to his leg. He said it feels great today. No additional soreness. His new crew chief sitting atop the box, Chad Johnston, said there's a lot to learn tonight. In fact, they're going for the win. Their goal, keep that car in one piece. Also great to have back my great friend, Matt Yoko.
Thanks, Steve. And Joey Logano is back this year in the 22 machine. And the car has shown speed all during speed weeks, and especially during practice, where he also found drama in the form of a multi-car crash. Forced to a backup, Joey still says this car he has a lot of confidence in, showing speed. But the biggest thing he and crew chief Todd Gordon want to learn is something they didn't learn in the Sprint Unlimited: what his car will do in a big pack. He really wants to learn what that bottom lane will do up against a big pack on the outside. We'll find out here shortly. Chris Devoda?
Thanks, Matt. It has been a rough road back for Brian Vickers. In 2010, heart surgery. Last year, blood clots returned, causing him to miss the last 5 races of the season. And then yesterday in practice, he wrecked, meaning he's in a backup car. Brian Vickers returning and trying to steer this backup car into the starting lineup for the Daytona 500.
Thanks, Krista. 1 lap to go as they come past the start-finish line behind the Camaro safety car. And let's explain our scoring tonight. We've said there are many different ways to get into the 500. Let's set that aside. If your driver is portrayed in green in our scoring rundown, he's in. It means he's either in a top 15 spot to race his way in, or he's guaranteed to be in on time or on provisional points or somehow. Green means you go on Sunday.
Yeah, it's such a frustrating race to run because you really don't know what to do.
We have not seen a cloud in the sky here since last Friday. It has been Chamber of Commerce weather in Daytona Beach, and today the temperature got up into the 80s, 73 right now. More breeze than we've had the last couple days, 10 to 15, but a cloudless sky.
And that'll cool down as we go into the evening, and it'll gain grip and making more horsepower.
60 laps and a fuel window of 40 to 44 means at least, well, it'll be 1 pit stop. It'll be a 1 pit stop race to make the 150 miles. Pit road speed 55 miles an hour. The pace car will run 70. And these drivers will go to the rear. Now, Danica Patrick and Tony Stewart, because of losing engines in practice early in the week, will also go to the rear for the 500. The other 4 drivers are in backup cars. Whatever position they earn tonight, that's where they will start on Sunday.
Starting in the back is not really a big detriment. The way these cars are sucking up this year and the closing rate and the speed they have, you could find yourself right in the top 3 or 4 after 3 or 4 laps.
Things to look for. In the draft, cars close quickly, more so than in past years. And drivers have found people on their flanks they didn't expect to be there so quickly. We've had crashes in practice due to the closing rate. And when you begin to get alongside a car, you get that side draft. It doesn't so much speed your car up, it slows the car beside you down. But when those two cars get side by side, they both stall out in the air. Somebody needs some help from behind to complete the pass.
Mike, you cannot make double moves. Double moves are double trouble. If you start to the left, you've got to continue to the left. I saw it Saturday night in the Unlimited. Guys would start to make moves and change their mind, and it was too late. Big wreck.
150 miles in the first of two Budweiser dual races tonight. 15 drivers will race their way into a Daytona 500 starting spot beginning right now. Pace car to pit road. Green flag waves. We're racing in Daytona.
Sure, the fans at home obviously noticed that the 3-car took the outside on the for the start of the race. Feels like that outside line has the most momentum, I think.
And he has that option as the pole sitter.
Yes, he does.
Chevrolet is on the high side. Dylan Earnhardt Newman.
And Larry, he picks up Dale Earnhardt for a pushing partner, a drafting partner. Pretty smart move.
Greg Biffle leading the inside lane, second, now third by a bumper as they come off turn 4 to complete lap 1. A little bit of 3 wide mid-pack. Pretty orderly so far.
Yeah, I have to be really, really careful right here in this pack right in there. Those guys, you just don't want, you get so loose through the turbo, but you can't hang on to it.
Ryan Newman, Matt Kenseth in the middle, and now it's 2 by back to the yellow car of Kenseth. Center stage. Entering turn 1, Eric Almirola, that light blue car right behind him.
I tell you, a couple of drivers that has already made a big move. Kevin Harvick in that 4, we talked to him in the pre-race. He's already cracked the top 5. A.J. Allmendinger in the 47 from 12th to 7th in a lap and a half.
Yeah, starting behind these cars is not, it's really not a detriment. There's such a draft and there's such a pull that if you hit it right, find the openings, you can get right to the front. You know, Mike, I just worry about Matt Kenseth. I've seen him a couple of times down here last week in the Limited, and tonight here he is stuck in the middle again, and that has led to a lot of trouble for him. He seems to find himself in that, what I like to call the sucker hole a lot.
That's the number 20, Kenseth. Danica Patrick pulls alongside and by with a little help from behind. It's Brian Vickers in the 55.
You know what I've noticed with Danica Patrick, Darrell talked to her on the pace lap. She is hooked onto the rear bumper of her teammate and part owner, Tony Stewart, at 14, and Brian Vickers in the 55. Remember, a backup car that started at the rear. These drivers, they have been working that high line.
Yeah, it seems like that's the line of choice right now. Biffle stuck down on the bottom on the inside there, and he is going nowhere.
Tony Stewart up 12 positions in his return to the cockpit from a crash that badly broke his leg in a sprint car, not a sprint cup car, but an open-wheeled sprint car this summer.
And just think about Tony Stewart and his bunch. He's got 3 cars in this race. The last thing they need to see is something happen to a big wreck that involved all of them.
All right. Biffle got to the top side in the 16. Now it's Ryan Newman in his new ride, the Richard Childress 31, leading the bottom group.
How about that blue car, the number 26 car of Cole Witt, the 7th driver in line on the top side? I know we said he went to a backup car. They actually repaired that race car for Cole Witt after that crash yesterday, and here he's already in the top 10 after starting back in the 16th position.
Right, Larry. The rookie was going to go to a backup car, and then his teammate Parker Kligerman crashed and ended up on his roof and totaled his car. So they had to fix Witt's, and they put a whole new right side on it.
Yeah, the team only had one backup car for both the teams, and so they had to fix Cole's. I'm thinking right now he's glad they did.
Boy, Casey Kane in that 5, he wanted to slide up in front of Eric Almirola in the 43 car we're riding with, but he thought better as they were about halfway down the backstretch.
It's amazing how much smarter these guys get as the week wears on. I think they learned a lot of lessons here in practice and certainly last week, so they found out you just can't jump in a hole. It closes up too quick.
And And now Greg Biffle is a lonely guy down on the inside. After starting on the inside in second place, nobody's going to let Biffle in line because they know he has a fast car.
Oh, well, yeah. And I've been watching Ryan Newman in the 31 and Casey Kane in the 5. They were the only other two drivers trying to work the bottom of the racetrack, and they've almost fallen all the way back to the back of this line up top.
That's all you can do. Once you get stuck down here like this with no help, you got to go to the back and start all over. You got to go to the back, group up, get somebody to run with you, and work your way back up toward the front.
Now Biffle comes up, slides up in front of the 36. Reed Sorensen, new driver for Tommy Baldwin Racing. And that will leave Newman down on the bottom.
Biffle is screaming at his spotter, begging somebody to please let me in. And they're saying, sorry.
Chris Devoto.
Kyle Busch is actually pretty heated on the radio as well. Right now he's complaining that his car is stuck on the splitter. He's asking crew chief Dave Rogers, did you forget the Packer? The right front splitter is dragging badly. Dave Rogers said, hold on to it. When we get into pit, we will fix that for you.
And Krista, we can see it bottoming out. It's actually been bottoming out since the drop of the green flag.
But it should improve a little bit, and I think that's something that crew chiefs always bank on. They start these tires with really, really low air pressure. The car might bottom out for the first 4, 5, 6 laps, but as that pressure builds, it could fix itself.
Austin Dillon out in front of this pack. The 23, Alex Bowman, one of the rookies, trying to race his way into the 500. Whole new driver lineup there at VK Racing. And Josh Wise in the Phil Parsons 98. Little single car team. They're running Fords here in Daytona, then they'll switch to Chevrolet. They'll have a sponsor come Sunday if Wise can race his way into the 500.
This team raced their way into the 500 last year with Michael McDowell, top 10 finish in the 500.
He is currently 8th. Austin Dillon, Rookie of the Year candidate. Out in front of the Budweiser Duels, 7 of 60 laps complete in Daytona. Coming around to complete 11 green flag laps in the Budweiser Duel. Austin Dillon, 23 years old from Louisville, North Carolina. He has led them all. Now in the upper right of your screen, you see the lap count on our Fox box and the drivers whose numbers have a green background. Right now they're in the 500. That includes everybody back to 16th place. Kyle Busch, Ricky Stenhouse back and forth. As far as who gets in, now Biffle and Newman, their speeds are fast enough to get them in the race, so they are guaranteed in.
Mike, you'll sit here and you'll feather foot around for a while because that's what everybody around you is doing. But if somebody ever gets a group formed up on the bottom down here and they start making a little headway, things will pick up. Right now, everybody's happy. They're, like I said with Austin, he's in his happy place right now. And he will be until they get up there and start racing.
And remember the thing that I mentioned in the pre-race. They all know they have at least one pit stop to make.
Now, Greg Biffle's number 16 Ford started on the front row, but the Biff finds himself right now side by side in 19th. Steve?
And Mike, his issue is he says his car feels really draggy, and Darrell was right. Biffle just said, I guess I'm going to have to be more aggressive to pull those cars apart. He is trying to find a hole to get in line.
He was had that 5-car Casey Kane wiggling all over the place going down the back straightaway. Mike, you won't believe this. These cars are harder to drive with somebody bump drafting you like that down the straightaway than they are in the corner. Cars are light down the straightaway.
But we are starting to see a fairly large group of drivers get to the bottom of the racetrack, led by Matt Kenseth in the 20. I go back to the Sprint Unlimited. Once Jimmy Johnson in the 48 went down there and other drivers joined him, they were able to slowly make their way toward the front.
It's just a matter of time. That bottom has got to be the way to go once you get the right cars down there running it. Right now, everybody's pretty, like I said, they're real content. There's no urgency just yet, but there's getting ready. I think things are going to get exciting here before long.
Tony Stewart the other night said, watch those Gibbs Toyotas in the draft. In this race, that's the 20 of Matt Kenseth and the number 18 of Kyle Busch. Denny Hamlin is in the second duel tonight.
I mean, if you watch speed skating in the Olympics, for instance, the guy on the inside always was able to make, get away from a guy on the outside, and that's the way this should work.
You can see right there, though, Matt Kenseth in the 20 on the bottom. His speed is very comparable to Austin Dillon in the 3. In fact, it's a little bit quicker now.
Well, look what's happening, Larry. Look what happens.
Through the trioval, he was 2 miles an hour quicker, and that was not lost on the rest of these drivers, including Dale Earnhardt Jr., who comes down to cover the front spot on the inside and go to the front.
See you. Don't want to be you.
We've got a new leader. Dale Earnhardt Jr. takes the lead from Austin Dillon. Matt?
Mike, for the past 3 laps, Junior's been waiting for that 20 machine at Kenseth to inch his way closer to the front on the inside lane, and when he got close, you saw him make the move. He'd just been riding behind Dillon, hadn't really been dragging the brake much to see if he could get a run on him. Just learning another lesson early on of what this new aero package will do.
Larry, you just think back down here a year ago with that 20 car. I mean, he had the car to beat down here. Matt Kenseth did. He led the race. He had a fast race car.
Led 86 laps of 200 in the Daytona 500 till he had engine failure.
Dale Earnhardt Jr., the leader. Trouble for Reed Sorensen. He's had to bring his Tommy Baldwin racing Chevy to pit road, and that's one of the drivers who needs to race his way into the field. He'll go a lap down.
Engine didn't sound good, Mike.
We see more and more drivers moving to the bottom to join that group that formed that line there on the bottom of the racetrack.
Casey Kane wanted to, couldn't get there. The 17 of Ricky Stenhouse was already right there. Marcus Ambrose started 6th. Steve, he's dropped to 12th. What's up with the 9?
Mike, he had moved up to 3rd, but there's concern in that pit area. They said he is running hot. He's got some debris on the grill. The team trying to take a closer look at it.
Well, what he'd love to do is try to get right up there to the nose of the 3 car and see if he can get that off. There's Reed Sorensen in the 36 car that actually just came off of pit road. But if he can get up there close enough, it changes the pressure on the nose. It may pull that debris off.
But how ironic. The 4 teams got a grill change. They got an adjustment on the grill because they were picking up so much debris. They may need a little bit more of an adjustment.
The Reed Sorensen pit stop was because he thought he had a tire going flat. So they changed him and sent him back out. He's a lap down. 23 of 24 starters on the lead lap. 15 will race their way into the Daytona 500 in this 150-miler. You're riding with Danica Patrick. Her boss and teammate, Tony Stewart, just ahead.
Yeah, she has not been off of his rear bumper since the drop of the green flag, and they've been 2 drivers. They have stayed committed to that top line.
Now here's the situation for Stewart. He is the most recent past champion. He's guaranteed in the show, but he is trying to race his way in to open up that champion's provisional for his new teammate, Kurt Busch.
I just don't like the way these cars move around in the trioval. I saw it in the Unlimited Saturday night. See it again tonight. They just get real squirrely. They dance around like they're just real loose through the trioval.
Darrell, look at Eric Almirola. He keeps his eyes on the rearview mirror about as much as he does out the windshield.
Yeah, you have to have everything working there. You got to do your job using your mirror as your side mirror and your mirror up there above your head. You got to listen to your spotter, and you got to use what I call track presence. You got to know where people are around you. And I see these guys make moves sometimes. I think, how can he not know somebody was there?
Well, business and speed is picking up. All the drivers in the lead lap or lead group there just ran their fastest lap of the race within the last 2 laps.
And Mike and Darrell, we have now reached lap 20, a third of this race. What the crew chiefs told me this morning, once we get to lap 18 to 20, our window is open. If we get a caution, we will be on pit road.
And I think right now, Mike, the cars are pretty much at max performance. Tire pressures are up. Everybody's gotten pretty comfortable with each other, and now you can try to make some speed. I think that's what we're seeing.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. leading from Matt Kenseth and Kevin Harvick in the first Budweiser duel. 23 laps complete, 37 to go. You're looking side by side at the leaders. That's Dale Earnhardt Jr. up high. You ride with Kevin Harvick, who noses ahead of Jr. coming out of turn 2, but by the time they get back around to start finish, it's Earnhardt back ahead. So officially at the start finish, only Austin Dillon and Earnhardt have led this race.
I really like the combination that Kevin Harvick and his crew chief. I think they're a good pair. I think they're going to have, he and Rodney Children are going to make a great team. I look for good things, great things out of that 4 team.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in that 17.
Whoa.
He just keeps moving that car back and forth. We're riding with him here behind Kevin Harvick in that 4.
They just waggle. That's the only word I can think of. They waggle through the tri-oval.
That orange cable is a release for the right side window if the driver needs to get out that way. Look at all that movement to the right of Ricky Stenhouse.
But watch his hands and how he has to kind of work the wheel. And then we had a shot of Dale Jr. Dale Jr. is just taking that right hand and rolling it up on top of the wheel. Taking that right hand and rolling it up on top of the wheel. Dale Jr.'s car is handling really, really good.
Meanwhile, Austin Dillon, our Daytona 500 pole sitter, runs in 6th in the outside pack, Steve.
And Mike, a couple laps ago, he told his spotter, Andy Houston, he said, get me out of this mess. I don't like where I am right now. And Andy simply replied, you got to hold what you got.
Well, that's a drafting rule. Hold your line. Don't make any radical moves. Don't try to get out of that spot you're in. Hold your line.
Reed Sorensen has taken his car to the garage. They couldn't diagnose it on pit road. They're going to try to repair it in the garage area and get back out. Riding with Eric Almirola behind Harvick on the inside, and it's the outside lane that's gone once again, but here's Dillon to the bottom. In the new movie Need for Speed, Aaron Paul plays a street racer who joins a cross-country race with revenge on his mind. It proves to be one of redemption. So let's let the cars do the talking as we crank it up. Matt Kenseth fighting his way to the front in his Toyota against Earnhardt Jr. and Biffle 2nd and 3rd, and Marcus Ambrose has fought back to 4th. Need for Speed in theaters everywhere March 14. Reed Sorensen, brake caliper rubbing on the wheel, and they are in the garage.
Darrell, I was watching our pole sitter Austin Dillon in that 3 car. He was stuck in the middle a while ago. He had to not be very happy where he was. He's already said he wasn't comfortable being back in the pack, and he was stuck in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, and he's working his way to the rear right now to try to get out of harm's way. I tell you, this thing is brewing, boys. You see these cars moving around the way they are. They're coming through here 3 wide. It's brewing.
How about that 26 Cole Witt? That car was crashed yesterday. It's all repaired right now, loaded up with sponsors on the sides and the hood. And Krista, he's in 7th place.
I know that's what this dual racing is all about. The Dreamers, as you mentioned, that is the same car. They had talked about going to a backup, but they only have one to share between teammate Parker Kligerman and Cole Witt. So Parker Kligerman used the backup. The team on the 26 had to fix that damaged race car. I talked to Cole today. He still had a disappointed look on his face because he just didn't know how it was going to race. We don't know if it's a good story. That's still to be seen, but it's certainly a story. The finish and the ending still to come.
Oh, boy. Everybody wants the bottom of the racetrack. That's where Matt Kenseth is as he leads them around. Greg Biffle, Dale Earnhardt Jr., then Casey Kane in the 5, Marcus Ambrose in the 9, and they fan out from there on back.
What we're seeing now, Mike, is that all the drivers have talked about handling issues, and we're at a point in a run. We're getting pretty close to a pit stop where these cars need tires and fuel. They handle pretty badly right now.
Larry, we know if you pit now, you can go the distance, but how long can you wait to make that stop if we stay green?
Well, you're going to need a partner because you need someone to run with when you leave pit road. I think somewhere in the next 8 to 9 laps, we'll start to see groups of drivers coming to pit road for that green flag stop.
Darrell, Matt Kenseth just dumped to the high side in front of Dale Jr. Left a lot of room down on the bottom, but Biffle could not close up fast enough.
Yeah, he's okay when he's out front like that by himself. I've seen him do that a couple of times in traffic. Didn't look too good, but right now he's kind of like the Pied Piper, follow me.
Tony Stewart told us yesterday the drivers to watch would be the Joe Gibbs drivers like Matt Kenseth. Not a lot of single car speed. Matt was the highest qualifying Toyota driver, 18th, but it looks like they have a great race package.
Well, my gosh, look what happened in the Unlimited. I mean, that 11 car Denny Hamlin, he owned those races.
Just past halfway, the bubble position is 16th. 16th or higher, as long as pole sitter Austin Dillon is in the top 16. That will get you in to the 500. Right now it's 15th because Dillon has gotten out of town and fallen back. So 15th is rookie Alex Bowman. Right now that leaves veterans Brian Vickers, Joey Logano, Kyle Busch, Tony Stewart on the outside looking in.
And I think Austin probably wants to make a green flag pit stop. I think that's probably some good strategy for he and Gil Martin to get one under your belt. But I'm telling you, I'm at the back of the pack. All I'm doing is riding around right now. If something happens in front of me, there's no way I could miss it. I'm just not sure that I'd want to be where he is right now.
Casey Kane in the 5 pole with the 26 made a little contact there. Hard to tell. Both cars are blue. Danica drops to the bottom. Let's have a look here.
Casey Kane in the 5, and that's Cole Whitt in the 26 on the outside. Darrell, you were talking about it. The cars waggle through the tri-oval on that somewhat of a sharp turn.
Larry, think about it.
Cars about lap 35.
We got 32 to 3 degrees of banking in the corners. We only got 18 degrees of banking through the tri-oval, and you're running just as fast.
Matt Kenseth leading Danica Patrick on the bubble. Six laps complete in the first of 2 Budweiser dual races to set the field for the 500. Matt Kenseth is still your leader, but that gas is running low in the tank. They may have 6 more laps left of fuel. When will they come?
And I can't stress enough, you can't speed on pit road. You can't slide those tires, especially if your crew chief's going to go with 2 tires. And here a bunch of them come.
Look at them. Everybody's smoking the right front.
Kenseth, Ambrose, Biffle, along with Harvick. Matt.
Kenseth, one of the first leaders to pit, going to clean the grill and just top him off with some fuel. He was going to try to pit with Dale Earnhardt Jr. Jr. couldn't get down to the bottom lane. Krista.
For Kevin Harvick, the call is gas only. That's the plan, and there you see Kevin Harvick go. Steve?
Krista, Greg Biffle said, I need 4, I need 4. They said, don't slide your tires. No chassis adjustments to his number 16 car, but 4 tires.
Oh, that's going to hurt him, though, Steve, as far as track position, because everyone but Kyle Busch leaves pit road ahead of Greg Biffle. Krista?
Yeah, we documented that Kyle Busch was really having problems with the right front. He actually said it almost felt like there wasn't a shock. That's how bad it was. So they took extra time to take a look at that, and we'll get some more information on that stop on the 18. Matt?
And Dale Earnhardt Jr. comes to a stop. A chassis adjustment across the back for the 88 machine, fuel only. And Steve Letarte telling him, okay, now go. They're trying to hold for fuel. Krista.
Ricky Stenhouse back to with his old crew chief from his championship days, Mike Kelly. 4 tires and fuel, the call for the 17 and Ricky Stenhouse.
Still under green, but Larry, those drivers that took 4 tires have a lot of ground to make up.
They do, because we saw a lot of drivers that went with just 2 tires, a lot of drivers that went with fuel only. But look at Matt Kenseth at 20, how far out he is.
A lot of brake lock up there.
And they didn't change their tires.
4,500.
That worries me right there.
Matt?
And Mike, he just told Steve Letarte, I think I slid my tires. I'm not sure how much. And just at the same time, they were watching our replay on the pit box and said, yep, you definitely slid your tires.
Michael Waltrip, you're going to be in this second dual race. What are you seeing so far here?
Well, the competition is amazing how these guys are using the block. Matt Kenseth left to right, taking up all the space he can in front of the field to keep his car pushed ahead. But guys, I'm worried about Dale Jr. That was a long slide for that left front tire. They didn't get tires on that car. Several cars slid their tires, but he had the most smoke that I saw from that tire. He could blow a tire right here.
Yeah, Michael, we saw Kyle Larson come in a pit on a practice pit stop yesterday, and he blew out the right front tire.
So by flat spotting the front tires, Junior risks not having any tread left and a puncture, and also quite a vibration.
Yeah, if he's complaining about a vibration, that very well could be exactly what's going on with that 88 car. And right now, he's sitting back there in the 9th position, 3.5 seconds behind Kenseth.
Now, Earnhardt will be in the 500 by champion owner points from last year, if by no other method. But that's the second fallback way to make the race. We listened in on Dale Jr. and his team.
Hey, just let me know about the flat tires. I got a small vibration. It ain't real bad. Yeah, it looked like the left front split on TV. Left front. Let me know if it gets worse. No, it ain't going to get worse. It's just going to come apart if it does. How long did it flat?
That was crew chief Steve Letarte debriefing with Dale Earnhardt Jr. at 195 miles an hour.
Well, Junior knows how much damage he's done to that tire, and he knows if it's not going to get worse, it's going to blow out.
That Darrell Matt Kenseth in the 20 car, he's our leader now with roughly 19 laps to go. I'm looking at his lap times. That group back there that starts with Marcus Ambrose in the 9 that they've assembled a single file, they are running almost a second quicker than Matt Kenseth. You can see how quick they're closing up on him. He's getting a little bit of help from Michael McDowell in the 95. That's a lap down.
I'm not sure Michael's helping him. I think he might be hurting. He might be holding him back a little bit. And you're going to see the difference right here when this group goes blowing by, Matt.
Harvick in the 4. His last lap was half a second faster than Kenseth in that yellow car that's leading. Transfer spot right now is A.J. Allmendinger in the number 47 Chevrolet as Harvick draws a bead on Kenseth, closing fast and settles in.
I think that just shows you how strong Matt Kenseth in that 20 car is. They caught him at a half to 3/4 of a second a lap, but when they got to him, it's almost like he pushed him out a little bit, and he was able to stay there as far as the lead.
Yeah, I figured they'd blow right by him because he was sitting down on the bottom by himself. But Harvick, I think Harvick pretty smart. He said, that's a fast car. I want to get down here and follow him and draft him to the finish.
Couple of nice surprises in that lead group. Josh Wise in 6th, rookie Alex Bowman in 8th, Parker Kligerman in a backup car in 7th. Look at Kevin Harvick's interval and how quickly he closed. Went from 0.8 of a second to 0.2 in 1 lap. $17 laps to go. Toyota and 2 Chevrolets out front, counting Casey Kane, the 3rd place car. Steve?
Casey Kane's been fast since he's been down here, Mike. Update on their stop, fuel only, no adjustments.
And Steve, I like the strategy that Casey Kane and Kenny Francis had. They waited till the next lap with a smaller group of drivers to come to pit road. It wasn't near as chaotic and congested when they were on pit road.
I tell you though, Larry, these guys that didn't take tires, these cars are going to be a handful at the end of this run here. I think the guys that took 4 tires, I know they paid a big price for it, but by golly, it might work for them, particularly if we got a caution.
The cars that changed 4 tires are running about 8 seconds back of the leaders, mainly due to the difference in those pit stop times.
Exactly.
Allmendinger on the bubble in 15th.
The best I can tell right now, our top 7 to 8 drivers, as they are in running order right now, they did fuel only.
Right now, outside the qualifying window, Tony Stewart, David Gilliland, Greg Biffle, Ricky Stenhouse, and Kyle Busch all have some ground to make up as you ride along with 15 laps to go. Toyota leading from the Chevrolets of Kevin Harvick and Casey Kane and Marcus Ambrose Ford with 12 laps to go. Things are heating up in the middle of the pack. A.J. Allmendinger trying to make some noise from mid-pack. Here he is right here. Look at the red and white stripes on his roof. Big move down to the bottom around Josh Wise. And here, Allmendinger gets up and just a little too close. Up there with Michael McDowell.
Some close calls right there. He did a nice job hanging on to that thing.
And right now, A.J. Allmendinger in that 47 car. He is just outside the top 10, coming to 10 laps to go in 11th spot.
And that gave him a 4-spot cushion because 15th is the transfer position. Parker Kligerman in the number 30, a backup car, after he ended up on his lid in practice. The Lending Tree Toyota backup car, and he is 15th, but he's lost the draft. Now there is Tony Stewart, 2 seconds behind Kligerman. Right now Stewart not in the top 15, nor is David Gilliland in the Loves Ford right behind Stewart. Now together they are running 1.2 seconds a lap faster than Kligerman and should catch him sometime in these remaining 10 laps.
And the reason it's top 15 right now, our pole sitter, you see him there, Austin Dillon in that 3 car, he's outside the top 15, back in 18th position.
But Larry, notice that the guys that took 4 tires, they were so far back, I think got no chance of catching up. They're not going to be in a position to win this race, but they sure have made a lot of headway by the virtue of those good tires.
They have cut the deficit in half, Darrell. When we last looked, it was 8 seconds. It's now they are 4 seconds behind the lead pack, and with 9 to go, will they catch the pack? Maybe.
If they do, they've got a lot better maneuverable race cars with those four tires versus people that don't have any. So I don't think they're going to get there, but if they'd had a little bit better stops and hadn't gotten so far behind, that could have been a big bonus for them.
Tony Stewart has passed Parker Kligerman, and that puts Stewart up and onto the bubble. David Gilliland also moving past the number 30, and then Dillon and Biffle drafting along. So Stewart is now the bubble car, the last car that would directly transfer based on his finishing position in this race. And there you see him in green and Kligerman and Gilliland not in transfer positions.
Wouldn't that be good news for Kurt Busch?
Well, it would, because if Stewart races his way in with a top 15 finish, then Kurt Busch would have the golden ticket of the past champions provisional, because it's awarded to the most recent past Sprint Cup champion not yet in the field. And Busch is Tony's new teammate at Stewart-Haas. There are 4 drivers eligible for that one provisional spot, and this is the order in which they are eligible based on their most recent championship.
Darrell, you've been talking about fresh tires as we're 7 laps to go. The 2 drivers that at least has 2 fresh right side tires, Ryan Newman in that 31, Joey Logano in that 22. And remember, Ryan Newman spent the biggest part of the first half of the race at the back of the pack. They had a great 2-tire stop on that 31 car of Ryan Newman.
I like that strategy, but what I'm really surprised is that 88 car, Dale Jr.'s, that left front tire hadn't come apart on that car. He has really been lucky.
See, Brian Vickers in that 55 car right there, remember, had to start at the tail end of the field with a backup car. Brian Vickers, one of the drivers that went with fuel only on that pit stop.
Michael McDowell a lap down, new to the Levine family racing team for 2014. And Danica Patrick, who said, my goal is to win this thing. She's in 9th, so she is in a qualifying position right now, Matt.
And Mike, unlike last year when she sat on the pole here at the Daytona 500 and her team basically went into prevent defense, trying to save that car for the 500 to preserve that pole position. Now she's just racing for whatever position she can get. But she, like so many others right now, eavesdropping on the scanners. They're all waiting waiting, counting down the laps for someone to pull out and then everyone to start to make their move.
Boy, look at Tony Stewart in the 14. He's the Pied Piper back there.
That's from 8 seconds back, boys.
Wow.
They chased those guys down. I thought I knew they would get there. I think they actually are going to have time to do a little something with it.
But Darrell, now that they have 15 laps on those tires, how much advantage will new tires be now?
Oh, I think it's huge. I really think it's huge, Mike. You're sitting up there with 60 laps on your tires, and here comes some guys with some pretty fresh tires that are better than yours. I think it could really be big.
Cole Witt trying to hold that pack back, and Stewart makes it 3 wide. He's going to go right up the middle with that number 14 and move into 12th place.
Looking at Joey Logano in that 22 car, he was sitting down there by himself, but he said, I'm going to try to make something happen.
Now just remember, this is when the heart rate starts going up. This is when the crew chief starts calling on the radio and said, you've got to do this and you've got to do that. This is pressure time, boys.
Now behind Stewart, the white number 30, Kligerman, the yellow number 38, Gilliland. They are racing for at least $250,000. Should they make the Daytona 500, that's what last place pays. You miss the Daytona 500, you go home empty-handed.
And then, folks, I had somebody this morning said, how much do you think it pays to start the Daytona 500? They said $50,000. I said, yeah, back in 1989, maybe.
Logano's yellow and red Ford on the inside, and Ryan Newman coming up to him, trying to make something happen here against Matt Kenseth, who has been so strong out front. He's led 28 laps.
Here's just what gives me a headache. You've run this whole race, been pretty clean. You're going to come down here with about 5 to go, and it is going to get some kind of crazy, folks. Some kind of crazy.
And Darrell, what I'm seeing with about 2.5 laps to go, they keep trying to assemble a group on the bottom of that racetrack led by Joey Logano in that 22.
Joe Nemechek moves up alongside Danica Patrick. And Joe is 1 lap down, but he's up there in the lead draft trying to make something happen. Here's Patrick coming back with the 26 of Cole Witt, and Danica in 15th, 14th, bumping Eric Almirola back to the transfer spot side by side. They duke it out to race their way into the 500.
Yeah, right now, when you would like for your car to be handling its best, it's handling its worst. Because everything, I mean, the tires are worn out.
Boy, what a dogfight, though, between Cole Witt and that 26 car, David Gilliland in the 38. They keep swapping back and forth for that transfer spot. There you see him, the yellow car and the blue car on the inside. Tony Stewart, though, pushing that 38 car of David Gilliland.
Stewart 1 spot away from earning a transfer spot by finishing in the top 15. They will come to the white flag this time, 1 lap to go.
There's Alex Bowman in that 23 car. He's trying to fight to get to the top 15, make his first Daytona 500 start.
Come on, boys and girls, let's keep it clean. Let's try to get these things back in one piece.
18 cars in that lead draft, not counting those a lap down. And out of those 18, 15 about to earn a starting spot in the 500.
Boy, it's tight right back in there. That is tight.
Look at the run, though, that Cole Witt in that 26 car got. That moves him into the top 15.
Along with Kligerman and Patrick. They have moved up. Nobody has had anything for Matt Kenseth. His Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota is going to try to hold off Kevin Harvick. Where did he come from?
How about that 98 of Josh Wise up in the thick of things right here, boys?
Harvick to the inside. Kenseth outside. Kenseth by 1.5 feet in a 3-wide finish.
Looked like 1959 all over again. 3 wide at the start-finish line.
2 100ths of a second separating Kenseth and Harvick. 6 100ths separating the top 3.
Nice job. Really nice. I'm so happy that everybody made it back and didn't wreck.
Meanwhile, out of those 18 cars, there's the rookie who earned the last transfer spot. Ron Devine brought Alex Bowman down here for the January test, kind of a tryout, and he so impressed the car owner, he gave him a full-time ride for this year, and he is in the 500.
But that right there, to me, is the feel-good story of the Budweiser Duel. Cole Witt and his 2016, the right side of that car, they cut the entire right side off last night after that practice crash. He's raced his way into the Daytona 500.
This finish is awesome, guys. Look at this.
Harvick makes the move. He gets that side draft up there on Matt Kenseth. And here comes Casey Kane. Wow. There's Junior. There's Ambrose. And here is the race for the final transfer spot.
Look at that.
Bowman got a big run with Danica Patrick down the back, as the 30 of Kligerman kind of faltered, held up Joey Logano there.
That's where a lot of drivers really made some ground on that high side off turn 2, like Cole Witt and those two drivers there.
Something bad happened to Parker Kligerman. That car dropped to 165 miles an hour, and the outside lane went by. That black car up there, the 98, Josh Wise.
That car.
Unheralded driver, raced his way to a 6th place finish.
Phil Parsons, congratulations, bro.
It was a thrilling 3-wide finish in the first Budweiser duel. Matt Kenseth could not be denied. And he's in victory lane with Steve Burns.
And Mike, he's a 2-time Daytona 500 champion as well. Talk about, though, that strategy on the last lap. How did you beat the 4 car?
It's quiet down here tonight. Man, I just had a really strong Dollar General Toyota Camry. And, you know, Kevin is one of the best. You know, like Kevin and Tony, there's a few of them guys you want to see them behind you because you trust them. They do the right things, but you also don't because they're so smart. And I saw him laying back, getting a run, and he made the perfect move. I just was fortunate to get to his right rear early enough to get a big enough run to get me back to the finish line. So just want to say thank Sprint, Dollar General, Rick's here up in the suite. Hopefully he's on his way down. Husky Tools, Home Depot, Toyota, Gatorade, Citizen Watch, GameStop, and Resource. We got great partners. 2013 was awesome, and this is a great way to start off 2014.
I was going to say, good momentum going into Sunday.
Yeah, maybe it makes up a little bit for the rest of the week. The rest of the week I haven't been very coordinated, so I felt bad walking in the garage every day, honestly. So I'm glad to get the win here tonight. These guys really deserve it. They really worked hard on this thing.
All right, congratulations, Matt. Let's go to Matt Yoakum.
Steve, Kevin Harvick got out of his number 4 machine and said that was exciting. Did you do that impressive side drafting move too early, or was it about the right time, do you feel?
Well, first thing I want to say is thank you to Budweiser and Jimmy John's Outback, everybody on this Chevrolet and all these guys. And I can't tell you how bad I want to win a race for these guys early just to repay them for all the hard work and effort that everybody at SHR has put in. And but I knew I had to go when I had the momentum. So whenever those guys got to me, I knew I had to pull out, whether it was 2 laps or 1 lap. When they were, jammed up tightest is when we had to pull out. So I pulled out, and I thought that I'd got under him soon enough to where he'd get back to me and kind of do like we did, a long time ago in the Daytona 500. But just the timing of the side draft was off just a little bit, and then we about both lost it because when I went up to chase him, I noticed the 5 come to the bottom. But what a great way to start Speed Weeks. We've had 2 solid races, and we just got to keep doing what we're doing, and everybody on this Budweiser team give ourselves a chance to finish the race on Sunday, and hopefully we're in the same spot.
Now, his night isn't over just yet. He's going to head on down to the Hollywood Hotel, check in with Chris Myers, and spend a lot of time during duel number 2. Krista?
My favorite part about the duel, talking to the guys who get to live out their dream and race in the Daytona 500. Case in point, Alex Bowman. Has it sunk in yet? It's only been a few moments since you knew you were racing on Sunday.
Yeah, we went across the start finish line, and I wasn't sure where we ended up. And my crew chief Dave Winston, he said we ran 15th and we made it. So it's a huge sigh of relief. I feel like it means a lot to the guys at the team. We knew single car speed was going to be our struggle, so for us to race in means a lot. And just really thankful for everybody at BK Racing, Dr. Pepper, and Toyota for just giving me the opportunity to drive a Cup car. I mean, it's huge for me and my family, and shoot, we're running the Daytona 500. So I don't know what to say. I'm sure my dad's around here, super excited, and got a lot of family coming into town, so it means a lot.
Every little boy who grows up wanting to be a race car driver wants to do this. Alex Bowman gets to live out that dream on Sunday. Mike?
Thanks, Krista. 15 drivers made the field. We know Ricky Stenhouse will be in on speed, and there's a lot left to decide here in Daytona. What a finish. Matt Kenseth wins the first of 2.
With Jeff Hammett, Chris Myers in Daytona, and the last time Matt Kenseth won a Budweiser duel, he went on to win the Daytona 500 in 2012. And our aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. Everything they learned making tires for the grueling demands of NASCAR inspires what rolls into yours. Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. Dale Earnhardt Jr. had a Goodyear tire that held up rather well as he had the lead for a while. The Budweiser duel at Daytona, race 1. These are the results. Jeff Hammond coming in. And for Kenseth, fighting off with a dramatic finish there, Harvick and Kane. But the top 15, who's in, who's out, important run for Danica Patrick. Cole Witt, we talked about him.
Alex Bowman, we already talked to him about him. These guys right there, all of being locked in, showed a lot of determination and a lot of patience at the same time right there latter part of that race.
Now Parker Kligerman still alive, and Michael McDowell eliminated for the Daytona 500. Let's check in with Matt Yoakum, who's standing by with a couple of drivers.
A couple guys from the Hendrick camp, 3rd and 5th for Casey Kane and Dale Earnhardt Jr. A lot of your fans were concerned if that tire, which you flat spotted, would last. But for you, the most difficult decision, anticipating when everyone's going to make their move.
Yeah, knowing when to be in the top with everybody and then knowing when the bottom's coming and just trying to make that decision. And we made some good ones tonight. But, yeah, we slid the left front tire coming on the pit road. But you know, that held up, and we were able to make some spots up there at the end. We had a little trouble fueling the car, but National Guard Chevrolet is real fast, and just happy to be able to find that out tonight and load it up and deliver it to the starting grid on Sunday. That'll be good.
All right, and Casey, how would you describe this night?
I thought it was pretty good. I was really happy with my Farmers Insurance Chevrolet, and I went to the middle early and dropped to the back, and then we drove back kind of through the middle there and got back to the front. So we had a strong car. Just, you know, when do you go, when you get the run, and if you can get to the front. So I think Matt did a good job of being able to hold us off, but Kevin was right there as well, and Dale. So it was fun. I had a good time.
And Chris, you can definitely tell they had fun tonight, anticipating a great Daytona 500.
Kenseth able to hold off a rush of cars with less than 20 to go, and there's the finish. What does it say about the strength of his car? We'll be back here in Daytona in just a moment. Back live on Fox Sports 1 Sunday, the Daytona 500 on Fox, but the day begins with the pre-race show 11 a.m. Eastern time on Fox Sports 1, and then over on Fox at noon, the 1-hour pre-race show for the 56th running of the Great American Race. You know about the front row already, but what about the rest of the field? How it's sorted out and who goes where? We've talked about the rookie class. We have one in and one hanging on at the moment, and let's check in with a couple of rookies from that class with the classy Chris Devoda.
Thank you, Chris. Yes, one in, one has to wait, and they're teammates to boot. So let's start with Cole Witt. You raced your way in after having to basically sort of rebuild the car after a wreck yesterday. Your emotions right now?
Yeah, I mean, just both of us, you know, this team to overcome what we did to even get down here, let alone to make it into the Daytona 500 for our team. You know, fixing the car, cutting the whole side off it, and working on it all day, and my hat's off to my guys and Speed Stick Gear for coming on board and helping us out, and it wouldn't be possible without them. And you know, this working with Parker's been great, and look forward to seeing what we're gonna build together at this team. It's pretty cool to see what we got going on here.
Okay, Cole gets to relax for this next 60-lap race. Parker Kligerman, not so much. You now wait. You're as big of a spectator as they come now watching this next dual event.
Well, I did joke with someone, I'll just crawl into a dark corner and hide for a while. No, our Lenny Tree Toyota Camry was absolutely awesome in that deal for a backup car. No practice laps. We got all in the top 10. On the last lap, we're riding 9th, thinking, all right, this is solid. We're good. We're in this deal. Just ride here and we'll be fine. And at that time, Biffle started to hit me pretty hard in the bumper, and I'm thinking, uh-oh, why is he gaining on me so much? And right then and there, I looked down the gauges, and they're all going red, and it looked like our oil pressure dropped, our voltage gauge was going down, so it could have been electrical, could be a motor problem. We're not exactly sure yet. We haven't diagnosed it. I pulled to the bottom, and the 22 started hitting on me, and I thought, all right, maybe he can just push me all the way there, because I didn't want to stay on the top because I thought we'd get wrecked and cause a big wreck and lose this car, because we can hopefully make it in on points. We're 33rd in owners points from last year, and then we also were 33rd in qualifying, so I believe the 47 made it in. A couple cars are ahead of us, so doing the math, who knows?
And Parker's a smart guy. He's already doing the math. Chris, he's also an intense guy. He doesn't relax. He's not going to for these next 60 laps.
Well, no, and you can do the math, but when he did this, that's the best way, right?
He's a little bit of prayer.
To get it on the, I mean, Trevor Bayne coming up race 2, former Daytona 500 winner. He's on the bubble, but Kurt Busch with his new race team is not. Tony Stewart and Danica Patrick did what they had to do with Stewart Haas in that top 15, which helped Kurt.
Just like a good team owner, what happens there, he's able to race his way in along with Danica Patrick. So it basically opened the door. So if something happens to the 41 car, he can use his past champions provisional. So Kurt Busch will race in the Daytona 500. That's what's important right now. Pressure's off of him.
Yeah, he still races way in, but he has something to fall back on. That always takes the heat off. We'll have Kevin Harvick joining us here, almost edging out Matt Kenseth, your winner. But race 2, the Budweiser Duel, coming up live from Daytona. Best drivers trying to work their way into the Daytona 500, including Michael Waltrip, who has left us in the Hollywood Hotel in the 66 car. He'll be in the second duel. Of course, he's won this twice, but as he explained in the pre-race show, there are a number of ways for him to get in. Jeff Emmett, he did say it was an advantage running in the second duel when you're in a spot knowing who did what and what you have to do. And we'll take a look at who's still alive as we try and see on the bubble. You heard from Parker Kligerman moments ago. We mentioned that Michael McDowell has to head home.
Yeah, and the sad thing about it is even Brian Vickers, who won a race last year, driving for Michael Waltrip, he finds himself in that bubble spot to a certain degree, waiting to see what happens in the second race.
First time the Budweiser duel under the lights, prime time from Daytona. Dale Earnhardt Jr. with the pole sitter, Austin Dillon beforehand, and then Dillon had the lead early, led 14 laps, and they said, hey, he said, I like my car. They said, relax, sit back, protect your car. We'll see you on Sunday. Kyle Busch with sparks flying.
Yeah, this here started out really bad for the 18 car here, hitting that front splitter like he did. He never was a factor.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. taking the lead from Austin Dillon. Had a tire problem later, but kept him out of trouble. Then Kenseth protecting the lead using the track.
Yeah, working it back and forth, pulling the inside line, and going back and picking up the 88 car and pulling him back forward.
Junior coming in, and they had green flag pit stop, kind of locks it up a little bit, and then Kenseth having to fight off with a little side draft, Harvick and Kane.
Yeah, he basically was beat by the 4 car, was able to pull down, put a little bit of slow down on Kevin Harvick, and took that win away from him.
And again, Tony Stewart, Danica Patrick within that top 15, securing a spot for Kurt Busch. So with the second duel coming up, what else did you take away? I know the rookie performance, Alex Bowman, another one who we touched on, guys that had to do well to have success or at least have the opportunity Sunday.
You know, I think the thing is when we saw those rookies, how they performed is they really handled the pressure extremely well. And I think it showed how the great equalizer. We always talk about how if you get in a draft and you work it right, you can make anything happen. And I think these young men have already proven you work with everybody like you're supposed to, good things can happen.
Another one of the pleasant surprises, Josh Wise and Chris Devoda caught up with him.
That's right, Chris. You can't win the Daytona 500 unless you're in the Daytona 500. At what moment did you know in that race that you were in?
Man, when I crossed the start-finish line, you know, we were able to really just execute that race well, and it went really smoothly. Our green flag stop went really good. And, you know, I was wearing the guys out there the last 10 laps about, you know, where we were running and who's on the lead lap and who we're racing and how big the pack was. Just to know how much risk I needed to take there at the end. And I think we were running 10th or 11th down the back stretch there. And I felt decent at that point, but I knew the bottom row was coming with a run, so I saw the 88 car drop down and just kind of tried to jump in there and fill that hole. Ended up taking us up to 6, so that was cool. And we're in the 500, so it's great.
The risk equals the reward for Josh Wise.
Thank you, Krista. And we talked about the good news for Stewart-Haas Racing. Kurt Busch can relax a little, and there's a smile underneath there somewhere. Matt Kenseth winning Duel 1. More on Duel 2 in just a moment. Some of the drivers you saw in Duel 1, and you'll see them in the Great American Race, the Daytona 500 on Sunday, getting ready for Duel 2, the Budweiser Duel live from Daytona and under the lights. Jeff Hammond, Chris Myers back with you. Before we get back there, all week we heard about Richard Childress Racing, the speed in those cars, some Hendrick engines of problems there. What about Kenseth and Toyota? Kenseth, who led the most laps in last year's Daytona 500, ending up winning Duel 1. How did you see early what will shake things up in Duel 2?
I'm really expecting to see these guys exactly do the same thing we saw in the first race, and that is Matt Kenseth and the Toyota being able to get up there and lead. We also saw the Hendrick cars look like all of a sudden they found some strength that we hadn't seen early on. So I'm looking for the fact when they drop the green flag, guys like Denny Hamlin. You want to wind up seeing Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon. I believe we're going to see the same type of race the second time around. And like I said, I've been real curious what happened to that RCR speed that was so strong early in the week.
And some drivers' dreams realized to be in the Great American Race. Other dreams are shattered. Let's check in right now with Steve Burns.
Well, Kurt Busch has a new home at Stewart-Haas Racing, but tell us about tonight's race, Kurt. What do you want to accomplish? What do you want to learn?
Well, the whole situation just changed. Tony Stewart locked himself in. Now we're guaranteed a spot in the Daytona 500. So it's a breath of fresh air. This no top 35 rule has a lot of teams on edge. You can feel it walking up and down pit road. You know, bumping into McMurray here. He's like, I don't know. We got to race our way in. We can't have anything odd happen. So the pressure's off us. Now it's me, Daniel Knost. We build this 41 team up. We get a nice race under our belt. No speeding on pit road or any type of penalties like that. We saw a lot of green flag laps in that first race. The outside lane prevailed in the draft. And then at the end, you got to find the right combo to try to unlock victory lane. And we want to do that with our Haas Automation Chevy.
So with the pressure off, will you be more aggressive or maybe a little more analytical?
Now it's a matter of trying to understand the car, team communication, and just go about our business like we normally would, and that is to drive our 41 car up to the front.
We like it. Good luck.
Thanks a lot.
Jeff Gordon's a 6-time winner at Daytona, but still a student of the game. And Jeff, watching that first duel, what did you pick up most that you want to experiment with in duel number 2?
Yeah, you know, it was interesting that outside lane got formed really early on, but then I was really impressed with how racy it was where those guys were able to get that second lane formed before that green flag pit stop. So I think that obviously a clean, solid, probably gas and go. And you know what, this one could come down to a late caution and be totally different, but looks like, you know, you just want to have a good clean stop to make sure you're in a position to get a good push on that final lap and have at least a shot like Kevin Harvick did.
He'll start from the 4th position here tonight.
And Jeff Gordon said like Kevin Harvick did, and Kevin Harvick will be joining us here in the Hollywood Hotel as we get ready for Budweiser Duel number 2 live from Daytona. Halfway through the Budweiser Duel for the first time in prime time under the lights and setting the field and the running order, the starting order for the Daytona 500 on Sunday, Duel 2. Some of the drivers anxious to get out there and give it their best shot. A dramatic finish moments ago as Kevin Harvick was closing there on the 20 car. Matt Kenseth, this is in Duel 1, and it was 2/100ths of a second as Kenseth held off Kevin Harvick in the 4 Budweiser Chevrolet, part of Stewart Haas Racing, and that's how close Casey Kane also making the move. So now Kevin Harvick, a former Daytona 500 winner, will start 5th in the Great American Race. And nice of you to hop in here and join us. Exciting. It was, and we heard your comments a little bit earlier. When you see that again from that vantage point, what goes through your mind?
Well, when I see it again right there, I told him, I said, you know, that all happened a lot slower than what I thought it was. And you're kind of at the mercy of the guys behind you and when they want to start getting really aggressive. And so if it had been 2 laps to go, you'd have had to take that run and make something happen. But when I watch it right there, I shouldn't have went up for the last side draft. I should have just stayed down and hoped that Casey pushed me. But the side draft is very effective, but I think in that particular instance, after watching it, I should have stayed low.
Are you aware of who's behind you and how much were you worried about Casey Kane?
Well, I wasn't. I thought the side draft, in all honesty, would be more effective than what it was when I went back up. But Matt kept going up the racetrack, and that opened the door for Casey to get the bottom. So for me, that's good to see that on TV because I learned something there. You know, if we are in that situation again, you know, after the second side draft and when he peels off, just stay low and hope you get a better push.
Well, you bring about that into play as far as getting that better push. How about the closing rate now with this little half-inch of spoiler? That's all the changes NASCAR made. It seems like it's really changed the game.
It has, and the closing rate is faster because the cars can all get, more cars can get bunched up, and the further that they get bunched up, the faster that it pushes the guy in front of you by, and then he has to go somewhere. But I think in the duels you won't see it quite as fast as it will be in the Daytona 500 just for the fact that there's less cars. But when everybody decides to get really aggressive, the cars are really sketchy to push in because all the bumpers are round and things are pretty edgy because the spoiler's so small. So it's sketchy to get aggressive, but you have to pass.
All right, 2007 Daytona 500 winner, the 2011 Daytona 500 winner, Trevor Bayne, has a pressure race coming up in Duel 2. Let's check in with him.
Chris, 3 years ago does seem like almost yesterday for Trevor Bayne when he scored a win in the Great American Race. Different situation. Even co-owner Eddie Wood told me, I haven't been this stressful in probably 20 years. What's going through your mind? How stressful are you, and have you played out what you need to do?
Well, that's all we've been doing for 4 days, is thinking about every possible scenario, and I'm sure we didn't come up with the one that's actually going to happen. So now it's go time. We kind of know what we have to do. We got to finish pretty much top 15 or 16 if the 78 races in. But it makes you appreciate it a lot, you know, just to be able to race in the Daytona 500. I think we take it for granted as drivers when we have fast cars and can rely on our qualifying speed, much less to win the thing. So, you know, hopefully I can do what I need to do with this Motorcraft Quick Lane Ford and stay in the top 15 and keep it out of trouble. I'm sure we can't have 2 full duels without caution, so who knows what's going to happen, but I just got to get to my pit stall okay, no sliding the tires, and get it home.
He begins his charge from the 13th position. Krista?
Well, Matt, Jimmy Johnson knows he's racing on Sunday. He will try to defend his Daytona 500 crown. I want to know if you learned anything watching that race. Tires important, obviously the pit stop, the bottom, the place to be. What did you learn?
Yeah, I'd say tires aren't important. You need to get the fuel in the car at the right time and have a clean pit stop. Matt did a great job in that first race of getting to the lead after the pit stop, I should say, and then holding on to the lead as that pack caught him pretty quick. So I think that's the key in maintaining track position from that point. But it's hard to know which lane's going to work because it seemed to be won by numbers, in my opinion. If more guys decided to run the top, it worked, and then when they all decided to finally run the bottom worked. So we'll just see what everybody's feelings are like, and you know, have a great race with the slow Chevrolet.
All right, Jimmy Johnson starts 7th. Steve?
Well, Krista, I asked Brad Keselowski about motivation, and you said there is a significant birthday worth celebrating in Victory Lane in this organization.
Well, yeah, it's the captain's birthday. You know, Roger Penske's here, and he really needs a birthday gift. And, you know, I'd like to give him one Sunday, but, you know, that's 3 days from now. You got to give him one on his birthday, too. So I'd like to win this duel. You know, most times you come down here and you worry about transferring and all those things. We don't have to worry about that with, you know, the Champions Provisional and having a good speed to fall back on. We got another engine and another car ready to go, so I'm not worried about that part. All I want is another checkered flag.
Have at it, man.
All right, thank you.
Let's go to Chris Myers.
Starting in row 2 with Jeff Gordon, duel number 2, and Kevin Harvick almost a duel winner back-to-back here. That close, and he'll analyze duel 2 with us in just a moment. Yeah, we hope you're enjoying Budweiser Duel. Race 1, Race 2 coming up on Fox Sports 1. And on Sunday at 11 Eastern, it's the pre-race and the noon on Fox, taking you up to the 56th running of the Great American Race. Drivers getting ready. They have their game face on. Kevin Harvick is with us. Surprised that we heard it mentioned there was no caution wreck in the first duel, considering what we saw in practice yesterday.
Well, I think what happens is, yeah, you never know what's going to happen in the second duel. Usually when one's really calm, the other one's really crazy. But I think what happens is when you get in those practices and you see the unlimited, everybody realizes that the car count is going down.
Okay.
And when that happens, and you don't want to put your team in that spot, because then it starts affecting Phoenix, Las Vegas, and all the races that come after that, and getting behind on your downforce races in the fab shop.
But the thing is, what he just pointed out, usually one is clean and the other one's going to wind up being kind of wild and reckless. And so we had the first one was clean, so we might want to hold our breath here just a little bit.
Well, I think 2 guys to watch in this race that are starting in the back, I think, are Jamie McMurray and Kurt Busch. I think, you know, guys that are going to want to make something happen are those 2 guys with experience. And the second thing is going to be Martin Truex with the experience with the car that's got that much speed.
We had rookies like Cole Witt certainly have a terrific run to earn their way into the Daytona 500. Now we have 4 rookies, including Kyle Larson, Justin Allgaier in this second duel. And we'll be keeping a close watch from here with Jeff Hammond and Kevin Harvick. And we're going to be handing it up to the guys in the booth in a moment. But for Duel 2, the Budweiser Duel races here in Daytona, let's head back down trackside.
And now for the most famous words in motorsports, please welcome your Grand Marshal, Budweiser Epic Salutes winner and retired United States Air Force Technical Sergeant Christopher Brown.
Drivers, start your engine!
For some, it's their last shot to get into the Daytona 500. For others, it's a tune-up to go for the Great American Race title. Back live at at Daytona International Speedway. Moments away from Budweiser Duel 2. A dramatic finish. Kevin Harvick chasing down, finishing seconds, even 2/100ths of a second behind Matt Kenseth. And let's check in upstairs. Always wanted to duel with Kevin Harvick. Something that, and he'll be watching the race with us. That
I wouldn't do that if I were you.
The closer, right, Daryl?
I wouldn't do that if I were you.
And we welcome back the guys in the booth, Mike, Larry, and Daryl. Go ahead, Daryl.
Yeah, Harv, I was wondering, you didn't change tires, you took fuel only. We've seen these cars really loosey-goosey, and particularly through the tri-oval. How was the car driving right there at the end of that qualifying race?
Well, we were pretty aggressive tonight on the setup stuff just because we knew the temperatures were going to be down, and I think when we go into Sunday, we'll probably have to back up a little bit just to put a little bit of downforce back in the car. But I was telling Jeff that, with the spoilers being small the other night, if you have the video of the Unlimited, I was just checking up for the wreck, and I committed to turn to the right, and the car just spun out, and I just crashed into the wall all by myself. So it's really easy to make a mistake, and you saw Jimmy the other night kind of poke out off of turn 4, and the car just hook and spin out. So with that little bitty spoiler on the back, if you get in the wrong spot and it catches you off guard, you'll just spin out.
Daryl, traditionally, if one dual race runs caution-free, everybody in the next race says, well, we can go anywhere we want.
Well, I think it's
or vice versa.
Yeah, it's really there's kind of the same song, second verse a little bit. Truex going to start on the outside like Austin did. But here's the thing. You say, well, now you know what you got to do. That's the problem. Now you know what you got to do. And these guys will take a little bit more chances, a little more risky here because they know how many spots there are left. And somebody's going to get left out if they don't get in those spots. So I think this is the more dangerous race.
And Larry, we saw green flag pit stops. We saw no tires, 2 tires, and 4 tires in the first race.
Well, it's one reason I always, as a crew chief, like to be in that second Budweiser duel because I could build my notebook. And yeah, when I look at our top 7 finishers from that first duel, fuel only. The 2 drivers, Greg Biffle, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., his teammate, that took 4 tires, finished 13th and 20th. You still have to have a solid stop, no mistakes, but it looks like to me these cars are driving good enough for a 60-lap race, fuel only to get to the end.
All right, we had a 3-wide finish. Let's do it again, and let's set the field. Here is the Budweiser starting grid for duel number 2. Martin Truex Jr. will have his second front row start in the 500. Carl Edwards alongside that Chevy in a Ford. You heard from Brad Keselowski, his Ford, alongside 5-time dual winner Jeff Gordon. Paul Menard next to Brian Scott had a great time trial run attempting his first 500. Previous dual winner Jimmy Johnson there with Casey Mears in the 4th row. Rookie Michael Annett and Clint Boyer in row number 5. Denny Hamlin, the Sprint Unlimited winner, he has a dual win, and rookie Kyle Larson. Trevor Bayne, past winner of the 500, but he's got to go to make the show, and Kurt Busch, who has 1 dual win. Justin Allgaier, a rookie, and Landon Castle from Iowa. 2-time dual winner Michael Waltrip, along with another first-timer, Eric McClure from Virginia. Jamie McMurray and David Reagan, both veterans, both winners on this size racetrack. Brothers and past champions Terry and Bobby Labonte, who each have a dual win. Ryan Truex attempting his first Daytona 500, and Morgan Shepherd.
What do you say we talk to the front row starter here, Martin Truex Jr.? Martin Truex Jr., it's a DW Fox Sports 1. You got a copy there, buddy?
I got you, DW.
Hey, man, what a way to start the year off with your new team. What do you and Todd Barrier got up your sleeve tonight? You going to go for the win, or are you just going to take it easy?
Yeah, we're here to race, man. We got another car in the trailer if we need it. So, we do kind of want to start on the front row, but at the same time, we're gonna be racing on Sunday no matter what happens. So, we're gonna go out here and race, have some fun, learn a little bit, get the pit crew guys warmed up for Sunday, and hopefully bring this thing home victory lane.
Roger that. Hey, what did you learn? Any one thing that you saw in that first race that you might be able to use in that second one?
Not really. Just stay up front till the end and hope you can get in the right line. A lot of side drafting going on at the end, so just have to see how it goes. I feel like it's going to be a pretty calm race, and then about 5 or 8 to go, things get crazy.
All right, my friend. Well, hold a pretty wheel and good luck.
Appreciate it, guys. Y'all have fun.
Martin Truex Jr. has elected the outside of the front row. Let's go to pit road. Matt Yoakum.
Mike, talking to Jamie McMurray, he agrees with DW. He thinks this duel will be much more challenging than the first because the competition learned a lot of when to anticipate and when to make your move. His car was not impressive in single car runs, but he told me it's extra speedy and fast in the draft. He's starting back in 19th. He's expecting to go to the front and fast. Steve Burns?
Well, Matt, talking to some of the drivers and crew chiefs today, some wanting to find speed in their car tonight, some wanting drivability, how good their car will pull up on another one or get around another one. How does it feel in the draft? Well, Brad Keselowski, he told me moments ago his plan is simple. He said, all my cars are the same. They're all fast. I'm going to go out and win this race tonight. Krista?
When Denny Hamlin drove into victory lane last Saturday night, he exclaimed on the radio, any questions, almost toying with or answering critics who thought maybe he lost some passion or some fire last year. So what is his strategy tonight? To not just answer those critics, but to quiet them completely.
Thanks, Krista. A little extra fireworks in the night sky here in Daytona Beach. A rocket launch from Cape Canaveral that will put a GPS satellite into orbit around the Earth, adding to a little bit of our pre-race.
That is looking off into the atmosphere there. Wow.
Quite a sight. As this will be momentarily. Martin Truex Jr. Chevrolet and Carl Edwards on the front row in a Ford. Brad Keselowski and Jeff Gordon. Paul Menard and Brian Scott, Jimmy Johnson, Casey Mears, Michael Annett and Clint Boyer. Rookie Justin Allgaier in the 51 starts from the transfer spot back there with Landon Castle. That 8th row separates the goers from the go-homers. It's cooled a bit here in Daytona Beach since we first joined you. Just a degree or two, though. 72 degrees right now. Still a light breeze and clear skies. Again, 60 laps, 150 miles, and they'll need fuel just after 40 laps or so. Now, cars going to the rear include Paul Menard, Bobby Labonte for an engine, Ryan Truex. Larry?
All right, the cars have to go through a post-race inspection. Kevin Harvick's number 4 car from the first dual race that finished second, it has failed post-race inspection by virtue of measurements on a suspension part in the rear of the car that affects travel. Kevin, the track bar had too much rake in it, so it failed post-race inspection, buddy.
Yeah, well, that's no good. But yeah, I was surprised because a lot of these rules, it's hard to understand them honestly to know exactly what's right and what's wrong. So, is what it is, right?
Yeah, well, you know, that's always the X factor, though. You run the race, you get a great finish, and then you still got to go through the room of doom over there, and every once in a while they drop the hammer on you.
It is what it is. We'll do the best we can on Sunday.
So Kevin Harvick will still be in the Daytona 500, but that finishing position under penalty right now. We're getting ready to go green. Martin Truex Jr. on the outside of Carl Edwards as we get ready to go for 60 laps. Going to be clean and green. What do you expect?
Oh, I think it'll be a lot like the first race. Same song, second verse. I think it'll end up just like the other one did, wild at the finish.
Green flag for 60 laps. Truex with Jeff Gordon right up his tailpipe coming out of the tri-oval and headed for turn 1.
Yeah, Jeff Gordon at 24. He has not been off the rear bumper of Martin Truex Jr. at 78 since they took the green flag.
One thing I think the guys learned from that first race, though, Mike, is we don't have to run the top line. You can get a group down here at the bottom, and that bottom will work. So I think that's one thing they did see that probably will pay off in this race.
Edwards slipped up to the high side in 3rd. Brian Scott, the orange car, in 4th. Brad Keselowski down on the bottom with Jimmy Johnson, the 2 white cars.
If I go back to the Sprint Unlimited race last Saturday night, Jimmy Johnson in that 48 car, he's the one that proved to the other drivers that we can make this bottom line work.
Keselowski looked to move up, but there was no hole. So he stays on the bottom. You're riding with Jimmy Johnson in 5th place. And remember, second on the inside.
Remember what Kevin Harvick down in the hotel there just told us a little bit ago, that Jimmy he tried to correct it, and the thing just spun out with him. That's how edgy these cars are. That's how loose they are.
Jeff Gordon stays with Martin Truex, and Keselowski, not quite enough help there from Jimmy Johnson. There's a few car lengths between them.
Harv, can you tell a lot of difference between being on the inside line or the outside line? Do the cars do different things when you're in a different line?
Well, at the beginning of the race here, the hard part for the inside line is just to get formed, and you can see that 2 car is in front of the 48, and it seems like the top line is able to get formed a little bit easier. These guys have done a little better job than what happened in the Unlimited and the first race tonight. So if those guys can keep formed on the bottom, but you see a little bit bigger gaps in a couple of those spots, if they can close those up, they'll be able to maintain it. But right now they're doing a good job of it. So that's the key factor is once you get rolling on the restart to maintain your gap in front of the car to make sure that you keep your line moving.
One other thing, Harv, while I got you here, that in and out thing where you just saw Keselowski do it down the back. He runs out there next to Martin Truex in the 78, and then he swings hard to the inside. What does that do?
Well, basically everybody's learned that when you're going down the straightaway, if you run a little bit higher, you can kind of help check that outside line up to kind of slow the whole line down, and then you run a distance race as you go through the corner, and you're able to gain a little bit ground on the inside line. So. Basically, it's just a side draft with the air from the nose dumping off the front of the car onto the other guy's spoiler, and it's just like a Jake brake.
I like that Jake brake.
Like a big diesel. Watch that 21 of Trevor Bayne. His owner points are not enough to get him into the 500 because his team, the Wood Brothers, doesn't run the entire schedule, and his qualifying speed may not be enough to get him in. He's got to race his way in and make something happen right now as Denny Hamlin moves Jimmy Johnson to the center, and Bayne follows Hamlin's number 11 up through.
And I think Denny Hamlin, that 11 car, we've talked about the Joe Gibbs drivers all night long. I think he's one to watch. He won the Sprint Unlimited. His teammate Matt Kenseth won the first Budweiser Duel. They have shown a lot of speed in the draft all week long.
Yeah, Larry, I think if that 11 car gets out front, it's going to be a long night for everybody else because he has got the speed. Hamlin is a momentum racer, When it's going good, it goes really, really good for him. When he won that race Saturday night, the Unlimited, any questions? When I heard that, I said, he's back.
Started the season just the way he ended it at Homestead in victory lane. Allgaier down there way close to Martin Truex on the inside. And Truex in that 78, he's just trying to get out of what could be harm's way. Here comes Carl Edwards to the inside as you ride with Clint Boyer in the 15. That is Bobby Labonte alongside that orange car.
That gyro cam is, I wish now if we could just get the fans at home to get pushed down in their couch like we do in the cars, we would have something. When that thing tilts up that right there, that's about 2.5, 3 G's all at once.
Yeah, this camera shot, crank it up, that's about as good as it gets.
Going to get any
oh
better.
Boy, 3 wide for third and on back. Boy, they really fan out. That's Bayne on the bottom. Right in the middle, the rookie Allgaier and Kurt Busch in the 41 up high.
Well, you got to watch out now. You got to watch those yellow bumpers. It's not that they cause the problems, but when there are problems, they're not sure what to do.
The red car with a white stripe is Allgaier, 51. Rookie drivers are required to run a yellow strip of tape across their rear bumper as a warning, if you will, to the veterans.
I like to see it right there.
I like yellow bumpers. They create excitement.
On the upper right of your screen, car numbers with the green background. They are in the race. With the white background, they are not in the top 15, not guaranteed in by their speed or their points. They've got work to do.
Mike, it's so hard. I mean, we're going to run 60 laps here. We're going to make a pit stop. But, man, if you're like a Trevor Bayne and you're falling back and you know that's not a good thing, you can't help, even this early in this run, in this race, to start to panic a little bit. And you start to make moves that maybe you shouldn't be making all at once.
Like that one by Jimmy Johnson?
Yeah,
stuck to the inside?
Jimmy Johnson can get away with that. He's 6-time champ.
But Johnson was 1 spot away from a qualified spot. The Driver on the transfer right now as they change positions. Denny Hamlin taking it away from Trevor Bayne.
And if you're Jimmy Johnson, I mean, you're sitting there saying, hey, I'm a 6-time champ. I won this race last year. What am I doing way back here? I should be running up nearer the front.
One spot away, another first-timer, that 35, Eric McClure from Virginia, trying to edge his way forward and into the Daytona 500. 8 laps complete, 52 to go. Welcome back to Daytona and the Budweiser Duel. Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR, everything they learned. Building tires for the rigors of NASCAR goes into what they roll into yours. We're providing our aerial coverage tonight. Single file breakaway out in front. First 10 cars.
I didn't really see this coming, Mike. I didn't see them getting separated like this. Got 10 out front, got a couple in the middle there, and then a big group back here in the back. I'm surprised they've gotten shaken apart like this.
Darryl, you know, you talked at the top of the show, being in the second Budweiser Duel as a driver, you know what you have to do. One driver that was in that position, Landon Castle, in that 40 car, the car that's sitting there in 6th position, he goes into this race knowing he doesn't have enough owner points, he doesn't have a fast enough speed. Krista, he knew he had to race his way in this race.
Yeah, Landon Castle, definitely one to keep your eye on. A lot of people keeping their eye on all season long is going to be the 42 of Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson, just a rookie, just 21 years old. Kyle Larson right now saying he feels good in the pack. He said, told his crew chief, Chris Heroy, he never got tight. He said he's feeling pretty good. He's just trying to get comfortable in this new car.
Kyle Larson has 14 years of racing experience, but only 2 years in full-bodied stock cars. He's been running open wheel since age 7. Out in front is Brad Keselowski, the 2012 Series champion, driving Roger Penske's Ford. And on the pace lap, did he foreshadow what was to come when they dropped the green flag? We listened.
You guys look over your heads over the backstretch grandstand, you'll see the rocket being lifted off the ground. Yeah, that's really cool. Hopefully we got a rocket here tonight.
So far, so good for Brad Keselowski. Has the 3rd fastest lap of the race so far. That's our Fox Heat Tracks. Looking at the signature of that GPS satellite going into orbit.
Maybe he likes to rocket. Rocket like a boogie-woogie choo-choo train.
Steve Burns, how about our leader?
Well, Mike, it's interesting listening to Brad Keselowski's spotter, Joey Meyer. Joey Meyer telling him how much the spacing is in between each car behind him. He's also telling him car numbers so he can anticipate different moves, like the one you see right now, perhaps.
A big separation there caused by that back group doing a lot of double file racing, working for position and losing touch with the lead pack there from Trevor Bayne on back.
You know, we got an interesting top 10 here. I mean, if you look at the 4th place car, 33 car, Brian Scott, a rookie. And you know, we got Landon Castle up there. We got David Reagan up there. We got Kyle Larson up there. These guys in the top 10 right now, not necessarily the guys I thought would be in the top 10. And where is Jimmy Johnson, Martin Truex? Where are those guys?
Now Larson just dropped to the bottom, and that allowed his teammate Jamie McMurray in the 1 to pull alongside. And Kyle Larson may go to the back of this pack.
You know, Harv, I'll ask you, maybe these veteran drivers, were they afraid to get up in here with some of these inexperienced drivers, and maybe they're just letting it sort out a little bit for a while?
I think when you see that front pack, you know, so single file like that, and like when the 42 pulled out right there, that's what that backpack needs to catch back up, is to see those cars side by side. So as long as these guys stay single file, and if the only way that those guys are going to catch them is to start doing what they're doing right there, is to stay single file and start running the bottom, and then it's a game of inches. They'll gain a little bit in each corner, and the 42 is going to fall back to this train because he tried to make a move and didn't have a hole to slide back up into. So if those guys stay single file, they'll catch back up.
And Kevin, to your point, Trevor Bayne in that 21 car leading that group of drivers around. They were a half a second quicker than our lead pack that lap right there.
Yeah, I was sitting in the first race, and when everybody was single file, I know everybody thinks the top is the right place to be, but every time a group of cars runs the bottom like this, they catch back up. So I don't know why everybody just doesn't move down and run the bottom.
Don't tell them, Hart. Don't tell them.
Brad Keselowski, the 2012 champion, has led 16 of the 17 laps so far.
You're watching NASCAR on Fox.
Keselowski continues to lead. He's been out front for 20 of 21 laps so far. Martin Truex Jr. led a lap. Carl Edwards in second, and those Fords leading the train in the top lane. Now Kyle Larson in the number 42 Chip Ganassi Chevy dropped out of that top group, fell back to the second group, but was not passed by them. Instead, he's leading them right back up to the lead pack.
And the one thing he's doing, he's bringing that group around the bottom, and you can see right there on your Fox tracks 1 to 2 miles per hour faster. Looking at that gap, I would say if they stay like this in the next 2 to 3 laps, they'll catch that lead pack.
I'm sure they'll catch him, Larry, but when they get up there, that's where experience pays off.
Krista, why did Larson fall back?
Well, he fell back, Mike, because David Reagan, he thought maybe Reagan in front of him got a little tight, so Larson had to check up to save the car. But since then, he's been asking for plenty of advice from his crew chief, Chris Heroy, and his spotter, Derek Nealon. He said, can I do anything differently? The advice he was given back said, don't arc it so much. Hold a steady line. And then as he catches up to this other group, he said, hey, if we have plenty of time. If you have a move on the bottom, go ahead and make it.
And Larson's done just that. He has caught the lead pack of 12. Look up on Paul Menard. Here goes Denny Hamlin past with a big run. And with him, the 15 of Clint Boyer.
These are all really good race cars back here. Jimmy Johnson and Clint Boyer. There's their pole setter up, front row setter up there. Truex. These guys just seem to be content to ride along the back right here.
25 laps complete. How about a NASCAR on Fox Crank It Up, brought to you by the new movie Need for Speed, in theaters March 14th. Need for Speed brings you Crank It Up on NASCAR on Fox. Once again, a 12-car breakaway, but look at that second pack led by the 21 of Trevor Bayne. It includes 2 past Cup champions trying to race their way in. Brothers Bobby and Terry Labonte. They right now are fans of Kurt Busch because Busch is in the top 15. That means one of the Labontes could get that champion's provisional if needed. Right now, Martin Truex backing out of the way. That means that 15th Terry Labonte is in the transfer spot at the moment. Now, Paul Menard has also dropped toward the back of the field, Matt.
Mike, as the cars were rolling off the grid, owner Richard Childers told Slugger Labby and Paul Menard, you guys are great at making something happen, so go to it. He was hovering around the 10th position and then faded back. Remember, he was caught up in a crash in practice in a backup car. He says he's losing the nose, meaning the car is floating off on exit, and also not much time in this car. He says there's some kind of vibration within the seat, something to look at after this event. Right now, he's just trying to hold on to the end of that pack.
33 laps to go. Coming up on halfway with Brad Keselowski, the leader in Daytona. Pass through halfway. Brad Keselowski out in front, and like duel number 1, we've been green all the way. Martin Truex led a lap. Keselowski's led the last 30. And in about 5 more, we should start seeing that one pit stop for the night.
You know, coming early to me wouldn't be a bad move. And I tell you why. Look, right now you're single file. It'd be real easy to get down out of line. You don't have to worry about somebody running over you. If I wanted to come off a pit road or off the racetrack on a pit road right now, I wouldn't be afraid to come early.
Yeah, we just completed lap 33. If you look back at that first duel race, the pit stops were made at lap 37 and lap 38. When do you think Brad Keselowski's coming, Steve?
Larry Mack, it sounds like the next 4 or 5 laps, he just told crew chief Paul Wolf that his car is a little bit tight in 3 and 4, which he attributes to a fuel load being burned off.
You know what else I attributed to, Burns? We got a little wind that we haven't had tonight. There's a good bit of wind blowing down that back straightaway and up into the 3rd and 4th turn. I think that might be affecting the cars a little bit too. I've been watching the flags in the infield, and they've really picked up before the start of this race.
Any time from now on, they could stop and go the distance on a new tank of Sunoco race fuel. However, they're waiting to see if a caution comes out, because if you stop under green in the yellow waves, you find yourself a lap down.
Now, Larry and Mike, you know, our wind gauge was the flags in the infield. That's how we knew which way the wind was blowing and pretty much how hard it was blowing. But now, guess what? Hey.
Fox Wind Tracks gives us actual data from the air molecules moving around 10 miles an hour right now.
But it's kind of all over the place.
I thought that's the way wind was. I thought it was all over the place. I love the American flag. I just take a look at that, and that tells me what I need to know most of the time. But that's a pretty cool graphic, too.
But, Darrell, it definitely looked like a crosswind across the back straightaway for the most part.
Think about a lap away here.
All right, next time by. So 10-mile-an-hour breeze. Moving the cars just a bit from the southeast. Wind Tracks powered by Autodesk giving us this data. And you can see the swirling there around as the wind comes across and over the grandstand. It's a little crosswind, a little tailwind.
But I think that would affect the car in turn 3 and 4 for sure as it blows across the lake and up into the racetrack.
All right, we're coming around to complete lap 35. Will we have takers?
On the bottom. Sing.
Michael Waltrip, fastest lap of the race that time by, and everybody stays on track.
This time.
Well, that's going to be exactly about the lap that those leaders started hitting pit road in the first duel race. They'll be coming around pitting here at lap 37.
Now, if one team says that, chances are up on the spotter stand, they're in communication with other spotters, trying to make sure that nobody pits by themselves. That was Brad Keselowski's team, and if the leader comes, there will be more.
I want to be sure, I want to be for sure that if I'm coming, and I'm the leader, that everybody knows I'm coming. I don't want it to be a surprise, because a surprise will get you in trouble. He's on the bottom. He's getting a good bit of speed. Let's see if he's going to bring her down here. I think he is.
And a lot of that inside lane, they're all coming with him. Everybody on the inside looking for a spot on pit road. At the orange cone, they've got to get down to 55 miles an hour.
Boy, David Reagan in that 34 car, he was sliding them all over the place. Matt.
And Carl Edwards already in. They've topped him off of fuel. No changes as far as tires on that 99 machine, Krista.
Brad Keselowski in. He's going to get right side tires. And meanwhile, just in front of him, Jeff Gordon exits fuel only.
Three different clumps of cars coming off pit road in that one.
Look at this. Give me some room, dude. I'm trying to get up on the track.
Now the cars that were stuck on the outside and could not get to pit road are coming now. Denny Hamlin and Casey Mears. Brad Keselowski too fast exiting pit road. The computerized timing system showed he is more than 5 miles an hour over the speed limit, and he will be back to serve a penalty. All the way to the yellow line, you must maintain pit road speed. Now here's Jeff Gordon and Carl Edwards.
They're arguing over, you know, you gotta, once you pass the road course down here, you can put your left side tires on that double yellow line and going into turn 1. I think Carl was saying, hey, I was here first.
And there you see Brad Keselowski in that 2 car. He still have to serve that drive-through penalty. I think because of where he was pitting there almost at the exit, he didn't think he could get up to 55 miles per hour leaving.
I think a pretty good indication was when you pass the other 2 guys that are going pit road speed, you might be speeding.
A long pit stop for Eric McClure, and he got back out on track but off the pace. He returns to pit road. Tough break for the would-be Daytona 500 rookie. Denny Hamlin, your leader, Brad Keselowski, Kurt Busch, Jeff Gordon, and Jamie Mack.
Very similar to what we saw in the first dual race with the 11, Denny Hamlin, same as teammate Matt Kenseth, the lead he had after the pit stop.
Damage on the left front fender to Eric McClure's car. And they'll try to patch him up, get him back out in hope of a Daytona 500 starting spot.
You know, I know that Brad knows he has to come to pit road in the 2 car, but take it to the limit. Because what if a caution came out right now? It would save him. So he's trying to take advantage of every opportunity here to not lose any more time than he's going to. Whoa, man, he's smoking it.
Don't slide him, don't slide him, don't slide him. You're killing him.
You don't want to slide those tires because you don't want to change them. Just do the stop and go, get back out there. Now Keselowski is guaranteed in the 500 based on his time trial speed from Sunday. Pass-through penalty, he's good to go, but the field is long gone.
Mike, while we got him in here, I want to say hi to Sam Bass, our buddy, does all the paintings for the drivers and the teams and been around the sport for a long time. He's in the hospital. Sam, hope he's feeling better. And Doug and Robin Reichert, I want to say hi to them because Robin's mom passed away this past week. So say hi to those folks.
20 laps to go. Denny Hamlin right where he was Saturday night in the Sprint Unlimited. Out in front of this one, Jimmy Johnson trying to make it work on the inside, and with him that orange car is Brian Scott. He comes up out of the Nationwide Series, not a lot of Cup experience, and Keselowski.
I think he might have a flat tire on the 2 car. I saw the sparks flying and it doesn't look good.
Steve?
Yeah, I just want to confirm that, Mike. I just heard Brad Keselowski say he does have a flat tire.
Well, he had a rocket, but unfortunately,
Michael Waltrip in the transfer position with Landon Castle battling for that last transfer spot. Denny Hamlin trying to make it a Joe Gibbs Toyota sweep of the Budweiser Duel and earn his 2nd duel win and his 2nd checkered flag of this Budweiser Speed Weeks.
You know, one thing I like that Hamlin did that a lot of drivers fail to do, and Harv, you can chime in here a little bit. He didn't panic. He was running back mid-pack there, but he let his pit crew. He uses all of his tools. He's got a fast car. He's a great driver, and he let his pit crew get him the lead. Harv, how many guys can sit there and, you know they got everything they need to get the job done?
Well, Jeff and I are just sitting up here wondering if they got enough gas in the car because he came out in front of everybody else by so much, and he So he got 4.63 seconds of gas in the car. So we're just wondering if he got enough gas in the thing. He did run an extra lap compared to everybody else, but usually when you only have 2 cars running by themselves and the pack's off the track, usually in that lap you lose time not being in the train. So I think business is getting ready to pick up here as everybody's getting a little bit antsy with 14 laps to go. So hopefully we see some action here.
Kevin, if you're Denny Hamlin, you got 9 Chevrolets right behind you. Which one of those drivers would you want filling up your rearview mirror, and why?
Well, right now you're trying to control that gap back to the 41 car and making sure you don't get too far out in front, because what's going to happen is everybody's going to start getting a little more aggressive, and those runs are going to start getting a little bit further forward and a little bit faster as they start pushing a little bit harder. So the guy in second is going to start dragging the brake. He's going to start letting off the throttle a little bit, trying to stack those guys up behind him so that they all start pushing a little bit harder, and hopefully that when that accordion comes to the front, it will shove you by the guy in the lead.
Somebody else is thinking about strategy, and that's Jeff Gordon in 3rd place. Listen.
Yeah, that's the deal right there. I think Jimmy will wait, but I don't know if that one's going to wait. That's what I'm watching. I'll keep you posted on it.
Talking about the one of Jamie McMurray. Now, McMurray, you heard in the pre-race, wasn't sure if he's locked into the 500 or not. Our prediction, our data shows that McMurray, who you see there in that red Chevrolet, would have a car owner point provisional and would make the race if he doesn't finish in the top 15. I'm not sure if his team has worked the same data that we have, or if he thinks he's got to race his way in.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, but one thing I am sure of, Mike, is that Toyota has got 4 basically Hendrick Chevrolets lined up behind him. And you just heard Jeff Gordon. He knows what Jimmy's going to do. He knows what he's going to do. They got to get the message to McMurray, and they think they might have something for Hamlin here at, we get to the closing laps.
Yeah, because Kurt Busch in the 41 car, Jamie McMurray in the 1, they use the Hendrick engine package. But I want to go back to what Kevin Harvick was talking about, Denny Hamlin and Darian Grubb and that 11 team. If you can truly go 44 laps on fuel, that means you're about 16 miles or 60 miles short on fuel, 30 miles short on fuel. So they needed about 4 to 5 gallons of fuel. It's definitely borderline that they got that much fuel in it in that short of time. It's going to be right on the mark.
How about it, Krista? Did they?
Well, I asked the guys. They said yes, they have enough fuel. Then they paused and said, it's going to be close, but we have enough.
Because these cars with this restrictor plate, they get about 6 miles to the gallon. So again, they needed about 30 miles worth of fuel.
A little less fuel, a little less weight, a little faster car.
Back to the transfer spot, and that's where Iowa's Landon Castle sits right now in that number 40 Chevrolet. He is drafting off the lapped car of Morgan Shepherd. Shepherd 1 lap down, trying to race his way into the 500. And behind them by quite a distance are Terry and Bobby, the Labonte brothers. So the way things stand right now, Kurt Busch would race his way in. Bobby Labonte would be the 43rd starter for the 500 based on the champions provisional.
And some of those rookies and some of the teams that really were running up front early in the race, they've kind of found their way. They've migrated toward the rear of the field now, and some of those guys are in jeopardy of not making this show. Early on, it looked really good for like Landon Castle and several of those guys, but right now they're sitting on the bubble.
Yep, for Castle, it is going to be close. Casey Mears well up in a transfer spot. Rookie Kyle Larson, rookie Brian Scott. Trevor Bayne, who had to race his way in, is 13th. You see him on the right of the screen in red and white, the 21. David Reagan right behind. Big winner at Talladega on Fox last spring. And Michael Waltrip in 15th.
See Paul Menard in that 27 car, Clint Boyer in the 15. They started thinking about trying to make that bottom lane work. As we're coming back to the line, we'll be 8 laps to go.
Yeah, it's time, you know, when you get down to 5, 8 laps to go here. If you got anything, it's time to use it. If you're going to make your move, I think Harv will tell you, may not want to wait till the front straightaway here to try to get it done. I think you want to try to get something happening right now.
That side-by-side run, Kevin, has allowed 4 cars to gain a little distance on the field.
Yeah, I think these guys that are second, third, fourth, they're at the mercy of this bottom line. And when you see it coming, if it ever gets to you and you want to win the race, you have to jump to the bottom in front of them and you have to time it right to be able to be a part of the train as it comes forward. So if those guys, if they don't make it, past the 4th or 5th car, that train will never get formed up enough to gain enough momentum to get forward. But as you get every lap gets a little bit closer, you'll see that 2nd and 3rd place car trying to figure out exactly what they need to do to back everybody up and try to start timing that run for the end of the race. So it'll be interesting to see if everybody can stay formed up enough to get.
Three wide and contact there. Carl Edwards in the 99 and Brian Scott, I believe they touched.
They were trying to. I don't know if they did or not, but it was getting mighty dicey, and it still is. I think Carl's trying to get in line right there, and it won't anybody let him in. He's trying to force his way in.
Well, I think to Kevin Harvick's point, Carl Edwards in the 99, you see Michael Waltrip in 66, no cars down there.
I think they touched Mike because I think there's some damage to the left front fender of that 33. Maybe not.
Well, the first angle looked a lot closer than that.
I don't know if he's, he didn't like that. I know that.
Nope. 83 moving around on the outside. That's Ryan Truex, one of the rookies.
These two guys aren't finished messing with each other yet.
No.
Right now, there's just not enough drivers even remotely close to being in that bottom line enough to make it work. I think that's why these drivers, you just saw Brian Scott in the 33 just almost forcing his way up into the high line.
Ryan Truex up there in a qualified spot, and look at Kyle Larson go on the inside.
I'll do it.
He get a launch.
I'm a rookie. I'll do it. Come on, work with me, boys.
Well, he made it work earlier, but it was with a lot more friends than what he has right now.
And that's been the problem. Like Menard jumped down there, and nobody could go with him, and nobody helped him. Now Larson's down there, and I think he's going to be in the same boat.
Now let me correct on Ryan Truex. He is 1 lap down to the leaders along with Justin Allgaier.
Boy, just got to be careful right here. Kyle Larson in the 42 car does. He does not want to force his way or try to make a hole where there isn't one, because if he does, he'll be in trouble.
He's in a qualified spot right now. Larson is 10th. Here comes Truex around the outside.
Look at Michael Waltrip in that 66. He just drove to the bottom, put Carl Edwards in the 99 in the middle, nowhere for him to go.
Poor old Carl saying, what in the world is going on? Is everybody going to pick on me?
So we're getting a little dodgy up there. Now Larson, the 42, is 11th. Waltrip in the 66, 12th, with Trevor Bayne, Carl Edwards, David Reagan, and the 40, Landon Castle, is still in the last qualified spot. So all these cars, except the lap cars, the 51 of Allgaier and the 83 of Truex, they're in the 500.
Right now, you know what? You do whatever you got to do to get the thing in the show. That's what you got to do. You can apologize for what you did later, but not right now. You got to go like to win.
Four to go. Still a group trying to make something happen on the inside. And that's Landon Castle by himself, 7 seconds back. The car behind him, Eric McClure, is a lap down, so Castle can cruise his way into the 500 from here with 3 to go.
I'm just not sure that everybody else agrees with that cruising thing. It looks to me like there might be somebody cruising for a bruising the way they're getting a little aggressive back here with Carl Edwards in that bunch.
Yeah, that's very possible up at this end of the field.
I mean, look at Larson. He gets a huge run through the middle of the corner.
Oh, Mears, Edwards almost collected Casey Mears in the 13 as they came through. Oh, Casey Mears weaving back and forth.
He's out of gas.
Oh.
And he had about as quick a pit stop as Denny Hamlin did earlier when they hit pit road.
Now he's shaking that car back and forth, trying to get some fuel to the pickup in the tank.
Yeah, the pickup is all the way in the right rear corner, and that's what he's trying to do, is get that fuel over there to that pickup to where he can get back to pit road at least.
Well, he has 3 seconds on Landon Castle and 30 on Terry Labonte. He's going to have to ride it out. If he stops, it's not going to happen for Casey Mears. Landon Castle goes past. So 2 laps to go.
Trevor Bayne tried to make something happen, just couldn't get it done.
Last lap, Mears will have to pit. Here we go. Slice and dice. Jimmy Johnson to the inside, cutting off McMurray in the red number 1.
But Johnson in that 48 slid down in front of Paul Menard in the 27. They're going to get a run down the backstretch. There goes Jeff Gordon and Kurt Busch.
They both went to the inside to draft off Hamlin. Johnson to the outside, alongside his teammate Jeff Gordon in the 24.
Yeah, alongside his teammate Jeff Gordon. That just pretty much assures the 11 car that unless this 41 car, Kurt Busch, can get some kind of big move here off turn 4 like Kevin did. Oh, and there
Johnson to the wall with the 1 of McMurray. 3, 4 cars around. 1 on its roof. 1 car hard into the wall.
That was
and it ends in flames and sparks.
Our front row sitter up here, he's got a torn up race car,
Mark
78
Trix
car.
Jimmy Johnson, he looks okay. Front end of his car on fire. McMurray crawls across the start finish line to earn a spot in the 500. The field is frozen as of the caution flag, and Jamie McMurray's car all torn up. 59.5 great laps, and then this.
I just didn't have a good feeling when Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Gordon got side by side. I felt like that was not a good move for either one of them, and of course we had trouble.
Michael Waltrip's car into the pit wall. And Michael moving around in the car, trying to get unhooked.
He nailed the end of that wall pretty good.
Yeah, he actually had hit the inside wall before pit road first.
David Reagan.
David Reagan's car.
The winner at Talladega, his car all torn up.
And you know what? This changes everything. I mean, what's the results going to be now with all these cars wrecked? And
we're going to have to wait for an official finish. But it looks as if Casey Mears, who had to stop, did so, avoided calamity, and makes the 500. Michael Waltrip climbs out with a badly damaged car. And yes, as Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson got side by side, the air over both cars seemed to stall them, and everyone else felt a sense of urgency and a need to move.
Well, let's see what happens here. The 48 and the 24, they get side by side. Here comes McMurray. Menard had a fast car all day long, and here comes McMurray, and he just gets a little bit of piece of that 48. A lot like happened in the Unlimited. Looked like Jimmy's car just got loose and spun.
Look at Clint Boyer in that 15 car get up in the air.
Thing went it did a 360. Unbelievable.
Did a barrel roll and came right back down on its wheels.
And he'll cross the start finish line because it goes all the way across the infield.
The race is over. Riding with Jimmy Johnson.
That car just stepped out a lot like it did Saturday night, Mike, when somebody got alongside of it. Man, and then he just nailed McMurray again. That was some hard hits there, folks.
That was a double-double for Jimmy Johnson. Here's another look. Just this little bit of contact right there between the 1 and the 48.
Yep, just enough brush on the back corner there to spin him around.
And watch the 78 Truex. He was going to start on the front row of the 500. And he jumps on the brakes but comes right into it and tears that car up pretty badly before it's all over.
Yep.
Now, remember the Labonte brothers who were 30 seconds back of the field?
Yeah.
I believe they both drove their way into the 500 in this.
Yeah, unofficially, they're both in the top 15.
Oh, me.
Clint Boyer got enough air time to qualify for his pilot's license right here.
2x2. Middle's open. Upside down. Nothing else is going to hit you. Stay buckled in. Stay buckled in. Stay buckled in. Nothing else is going to hit you. You're not hitting anything. Turn left if you can. Turn left if you can. Turn left if you can. Finish the race. Start finish is at your pit box. Start finish is at your pit box. One more, a little bit more. Get your transponder back. Okay.
All right, let's have a look through our Fox Super Zoom. Just that little bit of contact at 195 miles an hour.
Yep. These cars
results in this.
They're so sensitive, and particularly down on that corner right there. And
Kyle Larson made it through. Clint Boyer made it up and over. David Reagan head on into the safer barrier on the inside of the track. And we will be back with Fox Sports Live after the break to sort all this out. Oh, by the way, Denny Hamlin awaits in victory lane after a wild battle on the last lap of the Budweiser Duel.
On to victory lane with Steve Burns.
All right, thanks, Chris. Well, Denny Hamlin, it's been a great Speed Weeks 2014. You guys are off to a great start.
Yeah, it is. Our FedEx Camry, this one's pretty strong too, it looks like. So we're excited about that. I was a little worried after practice, but you know, when we tried to run a fast lap, we could, which is a good sign of what we did before the Unlimited. So can't thank this team enough. We won the NASCAR golf tournament this morning too, so we're really undefeated. So everything's been going great. I can't thank FedEx enough. You know, Coca-Cola, Sprint, Toyota, everyone that put so much into this. TRD, Jordan Brand, Tag Career Eyewear, and all the fans. This is a pretty good crowd for Thursday night.
How good does it feel for Denny Hamlin to be back here in victory lane again?
Well, it's just, I mean, once that snowball starts to roll, it's hard to stop it, and right now we're just on a heck of a run.
All right, a great night for Joe Gibbs Racing. Let's go to Matt Yoakum.
Steve, Michael Waltrip has seen this incident from both the owner and driver's perspective, and you've seen a number of the different replays. Michael, we're going to play another one for you again, but your first observation was the 48 may have run out of fuel?
Yeah, he had his hand out the window, so I think he lost his momentum, and Jamie just clipped him there. And I had a car right in front of me, and I moved up a little bit and tapped another car. And then I thought I saw I'm the owner of that 15 car, and I thought I saw him flipping, and he landed on his wheels, and we unfortunately caught the inside wall. You know, better judgment for our team would have probably been to be just fall. We had 15th locked up, and we couldn't really go anywhere. So, in hindsight, it's always 20/20. But better decision probably been just to back out of that mess. But I don't get to race very often, and the adrenaline gets to pumping, and I was on it.
And his big observation about his car, number 15 with Clint Boyer, Chris Devoto, was that even up in the air, Clint was still driving. You can see him working the wheel.
Well, Matt, we knew based on their pit stop, the math, that Chad, Jimmy, and the 48 were going to be close on fuel. Michael said your hand was out the window. Jimmy, did you run out of fuel?
I did, and I feel terrible. That many race cars to see the 15 flip. I feel terrible and certainly want to apologize to everyone. So I tried to get up out of the way. I had my hand out the side, but last lap coming to the checker, there's so much going on right there and so much energy in the pack that I knew I was going to get run over if I ran out, because the guys warned me about it, and it did. So thankfully everybody's all right, and I certainly feel bad for all the torn up race cars.
Thanks, Jimmy.
He can go with Jimmy Johnson.
Martin Truex Jr. starting on the front row. The 78 car caught up in this one of 7 cars. As you take a look, you heard Jimmy Johnson apologize. Released from the care center. We're checking on the health of some of the other drivers. And it looks like David Reagan has been released from the care center as well. We thank Kevin Harvick, who was with us earlier, had some commitment to run to, and will address his situation in post-race inspection from the earlier duel when he finished second to Matt Kenseth. But we went 299 miles here between the two duels. But in that last stretch, Jeff Hammond, we saw the 7-car wreck, and it looked like fuel costing Jimmy Johnson, and it triggered it at 195 miles per hour.
It really was cutting it so close, and you saw at the end right there when he did finally run out of fuel, they got in the back of him, and it kind of like triggered the big wreck. And unfortunately for guys like Martin Truex Jr., Michael Waltrip, their Daytona Speed Weeks right now has turned into pretty much a disastrous result.
But Michael Waltrip will make it into the Daytona 500. We're still sorting out some of the other drivers in their situation. An interesting one on the front row. You know that Austin Dillon and Martin Truex had those spots secured, but how do you play it? Well, we'll find out. Let's check in with Krista, who was with Martin Truex.
Yeah, Chris, so many storylines, agendas. Martin Truex knows that he was racing for the front row, and then we thought we were clear, green flag racing, and then the last lap. Your emotions right now?
Well, it's just it stinks for the guys, to work so hard on that car and have a great race car, and then to have that happen on the last corner of the last lap. Somebody running out of gas, it's kind of like you never really think that could happen. So I don't know. It is what it is. We'll get our backup out and go race. It doesn't matter where you start anyway. So We'll be fine. Just I hate it for the guys that work so hard on the car and got the front row, starting spot. That was all their work, and it stinks that they can't keep it. But you didn't do anything. So,
J.B. Johnson coming over to you and apologizing.
Yeah, he didn't fill his car with gas. He just drove it. So it's all good. Restrictor plate racing, it is what it is. Unfortunately, get 90% of the time get caught up in other people's mistakes, and that's what happened tonight. So it happens. It's part of the deal, and we'll just get ready to go racing on Sunday.
Your primary car did not have a lot of laps on it. You didn't test. You didn't run a lot of practice. Do you know how this backup will be?
They say it's just as good, so I'm sure it'll be fine. Car was, good tonight. I just was kind of hanging out there, and at the end, I see my brother got a lap down, somehow lost the draft, and I got him in front of me, and I just pushed him the rest of the race, just trying to help, see if I could get him in. So my main concern right now is trying to figure out if he even made it. Nobody can tell me yet, so I'm going to go find out.
Thanks, Martin.
We'll tell you if Ryan Truex, his brother, made it on the bubble. In fact, we'll set the field for the Daytona 500, the 56th running of the Great American Race on Sunday. Who's in, who's out, where do they start? It's been kind of an upside-down finish here in Duel 2, live in Daytona. Fox Sports Live at the Budweiser Duel at Daytona International Speedway, where Denny Hamlin with Joe Gibbs Racing, his FedEx Toyota, wins the second portion. So we can't set the field for the Daytona 500 until NASCAR sorts out the mess in the aftermath of Duel 2. And this is the 7-car wreck triggered, as you heard, Jimmy Johnson with fuel and Jimmy McMurray. And Clint Boyer in the 15 flipping into the air. So we only know at this moment officially as we welcome in again. We'll get to Darrell Larry and Mike in a moment. But let's first check in with Matt Yoakum, who is with Clint Boyer, who went up in the air and landed back on all 4 tires. Matt?
Well, I don't know. How would you grade that as far as creativity? Because you've had some big runs here, especially with the 07 a few years ago as well.
I would grade it as a fail for sure, but I think the 48, they said, run out of gas and kind of put us all in a bad situation. And I felt somebody hit me. I was like, oh, boy. What's that? It's an eerie silence right there. But you always wonder what's going to happen. You're more, nervous about what's going to happen when she lands. And, heck, it was pointed the right direction. I just kind of downshifted and drove it back to the pits. I said,
but you did stick the landing.
Not how I wanted that to happen.
But you did stick the landing, though.
I would say perfect landing, yes.
Now, where does this put you, though, now with your backup machine? Are you confident in that piece that you guys brought to the beach here?
We're in the outhouse, for sure. But we will come out just fine. We will wipe up our wounds and come out with a backup car. He said it's just fine. Built exactly, the way that car was. I mean, you got to prepare for this stuff. I mean, you got to put yourself in that situation. I messed up on pit road and put us in that situation anyway. Our car was really good through the corners. I felt like I'd learned enough there that we could have worked on that car, massaged it a little bit for the 500, but unfortunately we will have to learn this other car.
A 7.5, 7.5, and 7.0 for Clint Boyer. Chris?
All right, thanks, Matt. And Clint, I'm glad you're okay. And in 2007, when Kevin Harvick won the Daytona 500, the upside-down car sliding on fire that Clint Boyer was referencing to was, you'll see it here. Although moments ago in the duel, there he is. Clint Boyer now in the 15 car, landed back right side up. Well, he did here too, but somehow he lands right. But it was a little bit hotter in there. We could chuckle because he's okay. And you heard his description.
He's just like a cat, lands on his feet.
But the idea that Boyer, right, he's going 190 plus miles per hour in the air. He's still working the steering wheel. And as he said, he's not sure where you're going or what's going to happen next.
But the thing is, he never loses his focus. I mean, he makes light of so many different things. And again, it was a great finish for him, finishing up 10th.
How's Jamie McMurray doing? Let's check in with Chris Devoto.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, watching that replay, Jamie McMurray came out and said, from your view, you thought a car flipped over, and then you look around and said, oh, wait, he landed on his wheels, I guess.
Yeah, well, I wasn't real sure. I had my hands full, obviously, trying to gather my car up. But I thought I saw a car flip, and then when the wreck was all over and I came back down pit road, I didn't see any cars. It appeared that they had flipped. So that's really lucky that Clint was able to land back on his feet.
But how are you physically? Your car obviously tore up.
Yeah, our McDonald's Chevy was tore up. We had a good car, and I felt like we were in a good position at the end. I felt like I was far enough back that Jeff and Jimmy and those guys would make a move, and maybe I could just try to suck back up to the 11. The 27 started the inside lane earlier, I think, than what we wanted to. And then once we got to turns 3 and 4, I was content on just pushing Jimmy, and I didn't know what happened. I saw him just swerve to get out of the way, and things happen so fast when you're going that quick on the track that you make a decision and you just have to stick with it. And I'm glad to hear that he was out of gas, because I felt like I had caused that entire wreck. So it's frustrating, but we're going to unload our unlimited car and I thought it was actually a little bit quicker than this car. So we'll unload that and get a little bit of practice in, put a fresh engine in it, and look forward to the Daytona 500.
Thanks, Jamie.
Yeah, thank you.
Steve Burns.
Well, thanks, Krista, with Paul Menard, and Paul fortunately was ahead of the mayhem. What did you learn tonight?
That RCR builds fast plate cars. This is a backup car, and it's really good. We got a couple laps in it yesterday. Wasn't all that great, I didn't think, in the draft, and we changed a couple things, and it was really fast tonight. ECR motors, everybody at RCR. The peak Menard Chevy was really fast. Just really looking forward to getting in the 500 and keeping this thing clean for 490 miles and race like hell the last 10.
All right, thanks very much, Paul. We appreciate it. Let's go back to Chris.
Thanks, Steve. We're still sorting out as NASCAR is. There's Martin Truex Jr. His brother Ryan Truex did not make the field. We know that Martin is in. We'll set the field for the Daytona 500 here coming up. Aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. Everything they learn making tires for the grueling demands of NASCAR inspires what rolls into yours. Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. Completing the Budweiser Duel, these are the ones that did not qualify for the Daytona 500 that were trying to. Started out with 43 drivers, 43 spots. Obviously, Austin Dillon keeping the front row, and Martin Truex Jr., who had the other part of that front row. Now with his car, if he doesn't repair it, he doesn't keep the front row. So let's welcome in the guys in the booth, Darrell, Larry, and Mike, to kind of sort everything out now that NASCAR has completed the finishing order of the way this duel wound up, Mike, and now I think we know who's in the Daytona 500.
Well, and it took a while to decide the finish, because in NASCAR, once the white flag waves over the leader, the next flag ends the race. And the next flag was the caution, not the checkered flag. So when that happens at the end of the race, NASCAR looks at video and still photographs and all available evidence to decide who was running where at the instant of caution to determine the final running order, and in this case, determine the Daytona 500 field. So let's take a look at the starting lineup for Sunday's Daytona 500. Now, Martin Truex will go to a backup car and drop to the rear, but he still earns that front row starting position.
Yeah, Hamlin will move up. That outside row will all move up, so Hamlin will basically be starting on the outside pole.
Kurt Busch, in his first start for Stewart-Haas Racing, he's going to start there on row 4.
And Marcus Ambrose, the lone Ford, in the first 8 positions. Dale Earnhardt Jr. with Paul Menard, Josh Wise, Brian Scott, a rookie, Almirola and Bain in Fords, Allmendinger in a new ride, and rookie Kyle Larson.
You know, one thing I might correct myself. If Austin should decide to start on the outside, that would move the inside roll up.
That's true.
And so we don't know what that's going to look like yet. Based on his qualifying race, I'd say the outside.
Several drivers here that'll be going to backup cars, as Clint Boyer, Jamie McMurray, that we spoke to, so they'll be going to the rear of the field.
See rookie Cole Witt, veteran Terry Labonte, past champion, raced his way into the 500, as did his brother Bobby.
And both those guys were sweating it, man, because, you know, the champion provisional was really not in play, and so they were really sweating it. Great job of those two fellas.
Casey Mears runs out of fuel, has to make a pit stop. He still races his way in that 13 car.
Jimmy Johnson runs out of gas and ends up back in row 16.
Keselowski may be luckier than he thought, because by virtue of having to make that pass through, he probably avoided the big wreck.
And Kevin Harvick's car, which finished second in his duel but failed post-race inspection, has to take a provisional. He will start 38. Parker Kligerman in a backup car after yesterday's crash. Michael Waltrip hard hit into the wall, but he will race on Sunday. The Talladega winner David Reagan will get the final spot in the field, as the champion's provisional is not needed. Chris?
Well, Mike, that 7-car pileup after we had that 3-wide dramatic finish in the first duel. No cautions, no wrecks until the final lap of the final duel. And we'll have our final thoughts from Daytona here in just a moment. Matt Kenseth, in a 3-wide finish, held off Kevin Harvick, who failed post-race inspection, and then joined us in the Hollywood Hotel. And then Denny Hamlin caution-free until the very end when we had that 7-car wreck. So those two guys, and Matt Kenseth led the most laps in last year's Daytona 500 in his Toyota before his engine failed. And Hamlin won the last race of the year at Homestead, already has the Sprint Unlimited victory on a roll here. Certainly two guys to watch for the Daytona 500.
Definitely right now, this Joe Gibbs organization, if you remember last year, they were so strong on the restrictor plate races. Matt Kenseth, winning so many of them. So that I'm not one bit surprised. They've been kind of slow during as far as overall speed. When it comes time to get racing, these cars really perform as far as the draft's concerned, working through that as far as their partnership with the different teams out there. They've got fast race cars, and you're going to have to watch out for them come time for the 500.
Well, Kevin Harvick sat in here after that caution-free Duel 1 and said, hey, usually the second one creates a lot of adventure. And, even with the practice session yesterday with 7 cars, this is the one, and you heard Jimmy Johnson apologize with fuel. Jamie McMurray said, hey, I thought I triggered it, but 7 cars on the last lap as Hamlin pulled into victory lane. Look at that 15 flipping and landing. And as everybody's okay, all the drivers have checked out physically okay. Let's take a closer look through the FLIR thermal cam just to get a sense of that. Watching that 15 car is absolutely amazing.
It is. It's just totally.
And Clint Boyer.
You don't think about something like it could ever happen with a 3,400-pound race car going up there and rolling over like that and landing back on its wheels. And then here at the end, the 78 car, one of our front row setters after qualifying, all of a sudden his hopes of starting on the front row are pretty much dashed.
How about a surprise making the Daytona 500 from the field?
Oh man, there's so many of them.
But we do
right
have
now.
7 rookies.
Yes,
that
and
are
7 out of the 8 made the race here today. I mean, which is pretty much unheard of.
Including the pole sitter Austin Dillon, the return of the 3 car, and we'll certainly watch Kyle Larson, one of those rookies. But the tone has been set, and the kind of racing we'll see, I'm sure, on Sunday as we go 500 miles. The drivers will start out slow again, but when it's go time, you see the result. Denny Hamlin, he's not dialing it in. A lot more ahead on Fox Sports Live. For Jeff Hammond, Chris Myers, our entire crew live here in Daytona. Right now, let's head back to Los Angeles. Ryan Field and Don Bell.